And we are live. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We were just having a little bit of trouble with a certain person who makes a video claiming something and then arguing with me that she's not claiming anything. But that's not important.
Oh,
Important is
come
this
on,
is a
come on, Carlos! Don't lie to your viewers. You guys were talking nerd for the past 10 minutes.
yes, we were. We were talking nerd, but we've stopped that because it's even I sometimes get triggered by it. This is a post-Christmas and Boxing Day stream. We're just going to talk. What do you guys want to talk about? How was your meals? Because sometimes family gatherings can be a bit awkward. But how was the food? That's the most important thing. That is period. You get nice food.
Well, we had roast beef and shows, deviled eggs, and the wakes.
Had turkey here. Well, not here,
That
but
is
my sister's place.
yeah.
Everybody,
That is
everybody at
awesome.
my house gets sick of turkey after Thanksgiving, so
Oh yeah, you guys celebrate your Thanksgiving in that odd month.
Well,
We have
yeah,
ours in October.
we
well,
have the Christmas Eve dinner, which is comprises of boiled cod, boiled potatoes, and boiled kale. Now, don't say, "Oh God, that is horrible." Yes, it can be, but it can also be quite enjoyable because we also have boiled octopus. Yes, we boil all the stuff, um, and that we then use for the next day to make what we call old clothes. We translate old clothes, roupa velha, which we get all that, the cod, potatoes, the vegetables, the octopus, put it all in a pan and fry it, and that is our lunch, um, Christmas Day lunch. Plus, we traditionally roast a some lamb. I roasted a leg of lamb. It was fucking delicious, and I'm proud of my little lamb. And then we have the sweets, which is puddings and French toast and other stuff like that, which is nice.
Oh, I have eaten so many sweets over the past 2 weeks. I have honestly put on a solid 5 to 10 pounds. It's insane. I was looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, where the hell did all this come from? And then I remembered the chocolate, the cookies, the cakes.
Oh, I also forgot. We also have some shellfish as in the first meal, the first course, which is garlic prawns. I love them. I made it.
oh, well, for anybody who's close enough to England, go find Omegon. I mailed him a package of American sweets for Christmas.
Why would yeah, never mind.
And he's on. I should invite him. I should invite him. He's cool. If he comes on, I'll send him a link if I can. I think I follow him. I think he follows me as well. So let me just check. Oh no, fuck! I wrote Omicron and it comes like Sean O'Higgins. What the fuck?
What?
Oh god! Someone send him an invite. You guys. Let him come on if he wants.
Send who an invite.
Send Omicron an invite.
Oh, Megan? Yeah, I'll see if he's on.
Yeah, you say Omega, and I say Omicron.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I say Omegon too. Yeah.
it must be an American thing.
But I'm an American and I say Omegon.
Yeah,
I
well,
thought it was, oh my god.
Yeah, but it's both correctly pronounced. I'm just being a dick here. That's the way I pronounce stuff. So.
damn it, I
It's
can't copy the link and send it to him.
Oh God, where is he? I should have him on, man. I should have sent him before a link. Is he? Oh my God. Oh, come up. Oh, let's see if that's the right one. Let's see if it's on. Yeah, that's the one. Jesus, I was sending the wrong one. I'll see. We got the food bits out of it. Let's see. Oh shit, Matt Jabba is not at home at the moment. I'll answer it in a sec. First I want to skip them on that. Invite. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, but he's not following me. Oh my goodness.
Well, if I could somehow copy the link, I'd send it to him. But
yeah, I'm not going to post it in. Oh shit! I'll do this way first. Anyway, we lost some good people this year, guys. Some icons. What are your thoughts?
yeah, and everybody who's listening, do me a favor, quit blaming the fucking year for these people dying.
Well, it's the year's fault, isn't it?
No, the year is not at fault. This is just the year they finally decided, well, fuck this shit, I'm out.
I'm waiting for this fucking country in Portugal to die. This whole bastard, corrupt cunt. And he fucking, Jesus, like Charles Manson, he doesn't die, the cunt.
Yeah, well, Charles Manson did a wonderful service. He killed Hollywood celebrities. So there's that.
Well,
just remember
the wrong ones.
Just remember though, guys, Charlie don't surf.
but no, in all fairness, though, make Charles Manson, a leftist, talk about how he, was for the equal treatment of men and women because he killed them both. And in a year or 20, left people will talk about how great he is. I mean, they've done the same with Fidel Castro.
Well, you know what, Modwayne, you just brought up exactly what I was thinking. Make Charlie great again.
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, they've
He's
done
already
this.
on T-shirts all over the place and practically worshipped by an army of edgy teens.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's the same with Che Guevara. we've seen it now with oh, for fuck's sake.
Put the hookah down, Modwayne.
Yeah, put the crack pipe down, dude. You're gonna choke yourself.
I'm sorry. This should be better. No, but we've seen the same with Che Guevara, because everyone thinks Che Guevara is this huger-than-life hero. Everyone forgets that he killed more of his own people than the army did, almost literally. Fidel Castro was a great guy because he gave their country free healthcare, free education, nothing to eat. Well, you can work, but fuck that, because there are no real jobs, and they are still driving in cars 70 years old, and they're trying to fix them time and time again because they have nothing in that country.
Well, and Modwayne, just think about this. Cuba was such a great fucking place. People would make fucking rafts out of dried turds and empty bottles just to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, Beeb's in the chat.
Hey, I mean,
Yeah, I just freaking love Habib.
Oh shit! I'm sending him a link. If he wants on, oh god, I love that guy.
but it's kind of funny though, because if we look at the recent history of the world, yes, there are plenty of things that our modern Western cultures has done wrong, especially America. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah. But at the same time, pretending that people like what's his name again? Castro is a good guy. I can't understand that. I simply don't understand that. I mean, people are talking about how great he was. Those people would have been killed under him.
Hold up. Omegan says when, where, and hello. So, would you? If there was some way I could get him the link, I would.
Oh,
I got it. I'll DM him. Tell him I'll slide the link into his DMs.
All right. So, Martivus, you're gonna send him the link.
Yeah, and it's just Marty, man. You don't have to be so formal with it.
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Focus break, Habib. How is Castro a mixed bag? I'm really curious.
Because of the socialism, free stuff. But he's also an asshole, so I mean, I guess you could make the mixed bag argument.
Yeah, but I mean, the free stuff that he was giving them was nothing. I mean, yeah, okay, healthcare was free, but it was roughly the same as healthcare you would get for free, well, in Europe around the 18th century.
Oh, you mean where they would amputate your leg with a bandsaw and no anesthetic?
Well, they could use sugar.
Do you guys realize that Portugal last year, about 3 years ago, started importing Cuban doctors?
Oh, yeah, because the doctors themselves aren't bad. I mean, they have the same education as they have in the rest of the world. It's just that they don't have the resources and stuff to do anything.
I agree with what Habib wrote just now. When people get rid of
but if you give a Cuban doctor a syringe, you're gonna spoil him rotten. He's just gonna enjoy himself too damn much.
Yeah.
Well, the people are. We know that there is no power, leading power, people that lead governments, etc., that don't abuse power. Even in democracies, they abuse the power. They get rich in that. In Cuba, it is. You have to look at it as a typical Latino, a Hispanic Latino country. It would be much worse if, for instance, you had look at Venezuela. Now, Venezuela is technically a democracy. Look how it is. It's basically a shithole. Cuba, because it doesn't have the resources that to become ultra powerful like Angola. Another example, they abused the political prisoners on that shit, and the people were basically poor-ish. But the normal folk in Cuba were not that badly treated, to be honest. Not as much as what other dictatorial regimes have done, where they basically have enough resources to accumulate vast wealth, yet the people remain as they are. But Cuba, no. This is my own reading of it. It could be fucking completely wrong, and I will admit it if I am completely fucking wrong about this. I don't know as much as I should about that. Hello, Omegon.
There's the master of the moist.
You
Oh my God.
had better be interesting because I'm reading stuff on whiteness right now.
We can go. Yeah, but you're blue. Why would you
Entertain
about
me.
whiteness? Yeah. But,
Well, is Cog still your bitch? Is the question in
Cog's my bitch. Always my bitch.
Well,
That's what
and Peppy learned a harsh lesson about what happens when you fuck up the Christmas sandwiches.
Yeah, I should have been a
Oh,
woman,
that's
I
right,
guess.
Pippi. I absolutely I love Pippi, but she's too much of an edgy teenager.
Who?
Pippi is a cunt. She's currently known as Madam Savage on the Twitter.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. So, thank you for coming on, Amigo. It's always a pleasure and honor. Moist, mate. Someone's pouring a pint.
Or taking a piss.
Taking a. Yeah, I was about to say, or taking a piss. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have turned off my mic. Filling my glass.
So, shall we? Well, I was talking about Cuba. Let's talk about something a bit more up to date today. Did that professor from Drexel, whatever the fuck that university is, was he joking? Discuss.
Well, even if he was joking or not, he can say whatever the hell he wants, and he's getting all the ridicule and criticism for it. So there's free speech at work.
I agree, totally agree. Yes. Now, should we be as outraged? Like I had a sort of a little discussion today with some anti guys.
I'll go ahead and say this. No, we shouldn't be outraged because he's your typical virtue signaling SJW fagaloon trying to score brownie points with the other assholes.
Well, I'm a little bit how do you call it? The real problem I have is this. I don't care that he said it. I simply do not care. The problem is he's also teaching it. Now, I haven't seen his latest tweets because it's locked. I tried to look into it, but I've seen what people have posted. The thing is this. If anyone would have said the same thing about blacks, Arabs, or whatever, how big would the outrage be? But I don't think we should fire him. I mean, then we would do the same thing as that is being done to us. I mean, yeah, it's not my problem. I mean, he should be outed as an idiot. That's about it. But then again, he already has been.
Well,
so.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in firing his ass. I'm interested in demoting his ass down to janitor, maybe.
I don't want him criticised. I don't want him fired. The criticism is correct.
No, you can't fire somebody for having an opinion you don't like. That's
but it's being done. It's being done for the opposite of their opinion.
True, but I mean, we disagree when it happens to people that share our views.
And we disagree, and I disagree when it happens to people who don't share my views.
Yeah, indeed. If it's bad one way, then it should be bad the other way as well. So if we are against it happening to people that share our views, then we should also be against it happening when people do not share our views.
It's what separates us from them.
Exactly.
Indeed.
But you guys see the dimension of the outrage. Look at that Richard Hammond, the ice cream gate. What a fuck! Whoever thought about that hashtag should be killed. Honestly, dude. Calling ice cream gay, the outrage, the absolute newspapers were abuzz about the outrage. But a professor who calls on white genocide, man, it's only white genocide, yeah. So I want equal outrage of those two. Because if that professor saying, "Oh, I was mocking the white genocidists and that," okay, Richard Hammond was mocking the PC culture as well.
Yeah.
And I hope he doesn't apologize. Because if he does apologize, I'll send him a sternly worded letter.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. I mean, I don't care about his apology. I think people should mark him up for what he is. This is Mizzou all over again.
Yes.
Yeah, and the market should decide what place Mizzou has, and the market should decide what place this Drexel dude has. But it should be open.
Of course, I'm all for him saying. He can even say whatever he wants. That's awesome to say that. No, we can't. Free speech is free speech.
Indeed.
Whether we like what they say or don't like what they say.
Indeed. I mean, I had a small discussion not too long ago with someone who was denying the Holocaust. And denying the Holocaust in a lot of European countries is by law forbidden. You're not allowed to deny the Holocaust. And he started up on that. And basically I said, well, I'm going to agree with you. Denying the Holocaust is not an issue. I think you should be allowed to deny the Holocaust. You should be allowed to own a copy and read Mein Kampf, the book of Hitler, which is also illegal in a lot of European countries. It's bullshit. It shouldn't be illegal. It's bad ideas. It's stupid to deny the Holocaust because we know it happened. We have physical evidence of it happening still. We know people, well, most of them have died now from natural causes, but who are actually in there. Fair enough. But I don't think that we should punish people for denying something. I mean, it shows they're idiots. Fair enough. You're an idiot. Done. But no more than that. I don't care. I mean, you can have your opinion.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You see, if we let them speak and give them enough rope, that
they'll hang themselves.
They'll hang themselves. If we don't let them speak, then we can't attack them. They can actually fucking win. And that's not shouldn't be allowed. Like I'm for both sides, from the left and from the right. If the right says, oh, shit, I've been attacking them as well. But if the right says stupid shit like race supremacies and all that, fuck, and you let them speak and just say you are a fucking moron. Here is data that contradicts your fucking stupid narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have the horseshoe theory. I will deny that. I will disagree with that totally. We have now the full circle. The left have gone full circle to that and joined up with the right. The extremes, I mean, not the centers. The centers are good. We need center. Center is balance.
But there are too many mutually exclusive ideas. Social healthcare versus private healthcare. The whole social versus private thing altogether. I mean, there comes a point where you have to pick.
No, you don't. You can have them both. I'll tell you how we can have both. In Australia, when I was there, I don't know how it is now. This was 23 years ago. You had to register your car. Your car, that registration cost was expensive, but you got obligatory third-party insurance with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I bought full coverage on top of that third party. So I had private and public. See what I mean? Yeah. Here in Portugal, I took out a private health policy, but I also have the public health care policy. I can have both at the same time. That's what's good about having a center left, center, right, or both, even both one or the other.
Well,
you can pick both and have both at the same time.
Well, the thing about social healthcare versus private healthcare is the social healthcare should only go to those who need it, and only for emergency situations only, because I mean, I am very libertarian. I'm not like ANCAP libertarian. I do advocate for certain social programs. However, the thing is the more people on the social stuff, the more my taxes go up. The more my taxes goes up, the more pissed off I get.
Well, I'm not really sure. I mean, we could have social health care. We really could. The problem with social health care is the way that we have implemented it. You should have social health care based on capitalism, but we can't, for the simple reason that we in the Western world, America mostly, but the rest of Europe and the rest of the Western world as well, we live in a plutocracy. There is no capitalism. Those companies producing healthcare products can ask whatever they want for it. And because they're often protected by, how do you call it, not copyright, but patent. They have patent on their medication, so others can't make the same medication because it's patented. Therefore, they can ask whatever they want and no one can produce it cheaper. Now, in a capitalistic system, that would not happen at all. But we're not in a capitalistic system. We're in a plutocratic system.
Well, the thing about that is patents eventually run out. Although
no, because they can keep repeating. They just change a small thing and then they repatent it, and because of that repatent, it's being protected. For example, there is AIDS medication, and I'm sorry, I made a real good. I think it was real good, but it got a lot of blockage from YouTube. There was. In the Netherlands, there was a doctor, Schellekes, Professor Schellekes, who started, basically the World Health Organization asked him whether he could try to make a certain medicine cheaper than that it was already being made, because they wanted to have a certain medicine for the third world, but they couldn't afford it. So they asked him whether he would be able to make a medication 10% cheaper than what it was on the market for at this point in time. And he was like, you know what, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try, because I'm a research professor at a university. It gives my students something to do. But I don't think I'll be able. He actually said, I don't think I'll be able. At the end of the project, he could make it for less than 10% of what they are asking for it and still make a profit. But they're not allowed because it's patented. I mean, if we look at anti-age medication in South Africa, it's being made in India because there they can make it for $1 a day. Because the other one is, if they go for the one that they buy from America, it's 10, 12 times as much expensive. And why is it that much expensive? Because it's been protected by patent rights. If we look at the EpiPen, an EpiPen can be made for less than $2 a piece. But one EpiPen costs $600. Why? Because it's protected by patent.
By a broken patent system. I totally agree. It has nothing to do with the plutocracy or
no, it is plutocracy because that's why it's not capitalism. People keep claiming that capitalism is the problem. It's not capitalism. It's plutocracy because capitalism wants a working patent system.
When the hell did EpiPens go up to $600 a piece?
About 2 years ago.
Yeah, less than 2 years ago, to be honest. But it has been going up in the last 7 years. I mean, they were €100 7 years ago, and they're €600 now. €100 or $100 is already way too high. But they went 6 times higher.
Well, at the end of the day, the thing is the problem with that lies in the sheer fact that the protectionist patents aren't they're so vague. Like, I should be able to make something better that works on the same principles. However, mechanism X is too close to the mechanism of the patent, therefore no.
But it's even worse. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you because this is pissing me off. Because people claim, yeah, but it's capitalism. This is not capitalism. Capitalism says, I invent something and I can make it for X and I make money out of X. And then someone else says, hey, wait a second, I can make it for X minus 2. I'm going to make it for X minus 2. That's capitalism. But what we have now is a plutocracy where a company says, I can make something for X. Government, make sure no one else makes it for less than what I do.
Yeah, exactly. The patent system. I totally agree. There's nothing that the patent system, I think, should be like this. The company has to, of course, they spend money developing the product.
Which is also not true. Most of the money spent in research of medication is spent by governments, not by corporations. Corporations keep claiming that they spend most of it, but that's not true because most of the medical research is done at universities as part of their education. So yeah, companies do spend money on it, but most of it is government money being spent.
Then you just have to. I just will modify what I was going to say. Then make a patent system 5 years long, 10 years long, 10 years. The company can market that product solely for 10 years. After that, they lose all. They cannot modify anything and say, "Oh, it's a new." No, it ends. That like they do now, which they just modify a slight atom and say, "Oh, it's a new, totally new chemical." No, it's not. They basically might modify the carrier. They don't modify the basic ingredient that makes that medicine work. So give them a limited time to market it exclusively. Then, sorry, you lose it. Generics.
Yeah.
That's it. Generics. That's it.
Well, another reason why medical expenses are so high in the U.S. is malpractice. Some guy, some guy makes a small mistake and costs someone their life. Yeah, that's a terrible thing, but that's human error. Now, I'm all for, some surgeon shows up drunk and ends up killing someone. Yeah, that's malpractice. Yeah. But human error is not something that I think you should be able to sue for. Yeah, it costs somebody their life, but humans are imperfect creatures.
Yeah.
And the sheer fact that we are imperfect creatures and that you can be sued for being an imperfect creature drives medical costs up to an insane degree. Those insurance rates are ridiculous.
Yes and no. Again, I mean, that's what they keep claiming, but
I think that's a slippery slope to try and.
But it's not the main reason why healthcare in the Western
Not
world
the main
is
reason, but a contributing factor.
No, it's not. We keep hearing about it, but in all factuality, that's such a small part of it. But it's being brought up as the main reason, and it really isn't. If you look at the numbers, it's amazing. I mean, I've seen bills from American hospitals where someone is getting a box of tissues, and they mark it as cough suppressants, and they charge $150 for it, a box of bloody tissues. At this very point in time, if you need open heart surgery or if you need heart surgery in America, it's cheaper to go to India for 3 months to get your surgery there, to recuperate there, to have a holiday there, and go back to America. And you will have the same level of care as you would have in America. It's so stupid that in this, I'm from the Netherlands. We are very high on how we should treat our elderly and whatnot. At this point in time, it's cheaper to send our elderly a year-long cruise around the world with all the same health care and care they would get in a old people home. It would be cheaper to send them on a cruise than to send them to an old people home. Because certain things, certain market issues have gone up so bad. If we look at the way they charge medicine, it's stupid. We've seen certain medicines go up 500% in price in the last, well, let's say 10 years. And there is no reason for it other than because they can. That's the main issue.
We are here opposite end of that in Portugal. We also do want to care for our elderly and so on, and we have quite an extensive network of old people.
Recently played section button.
But many of them are even illegal, and they've been closing them down because they've been abusing the patients and that, and we really get mad about that. And but our costs here, because we have a mixed private public, we even have 2 public insurance type schemes: the public service and the private service public health care. One's called the ADSE, which I'm on, and then you have the normal social security, which everyone has to have. The boss's discount from your pay, you pay for it, a certain amount, and you get at least not free, because you do pay something, but at least very reduced pricing. But then you have the private hospitals where you can take out a public-private insurance policy like I have to augment it. Or if you're rich, you just go to the fucking private hospitals, because all the doctors in Portugal work both for the private and public sector. And there's been a fucking scandal where the private hospitals, the doctors, bill the public hospitals for anything that they do in the private hospitals. I hope I got that right. Let me try it again. No one understood. Doctors work in both private and public hospitals here. They charge the public hospitals for treatment they did at the private hospitals, and they shouldn't do that, which is scandalous. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, but you can have both systems.
You can have a social healthcare system as well, but the problem with the social healthcare system is that it's only social on one end, the end where everyone pays, but It's not social on the other end, because the whole idea is that if we put everyone under one or 2 insurance companies or 5 insurance companies, they would then, those companies would be strong. They would be able to make good deals with the pharmaceutical companies. And because they could make good deals with pharmaceutical companies, the medical prices would go down. But what happens is that those insurance companies now have a big pot of money, and the pharmaceutical company says, well, this is what we charge. Yeah, but that's too expensive. Hey, what do you care? You have enough money. Well, yeah, you're right. Okay, let's do it. And that's precisely the opposite of what should happen.
I agree, yeah.
But when we had private companies vying for their share of profit, when insurance was private, those companies actually worked for the money because, hey, if I'm not going to make it cheaper for you, you're going to go somewhere else. But now, if you go with socialized healthcare, that incentive is gone because people have nowhere else to go.
That's why we should have like both public and private. One sort of pressuring the other to keep costs down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
But we don't have
it's
that.
like competition. They should be in competition. The private and the public should be in competition. If you say, look, the people, no, you're not going to have exclusive private hospital, private care, but you're also not going to have public care, because then you can be fucking they are both can be equally bad. But if you have competition between them, they can be actually all right. I'm not saying good, because they'll never be good or excellent. They'll just be better than bad. Yeah, that's what happens here. There's a hospital, our central hospital where I live. I would never send anyone there. I've had shit happen to me there. My father was also not very well treated there, and he had to go to a private hospital, but paid by public funds. The Social Security pays that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be treated well. And it was an emergency. It wasn't an actual internment or something. It was an emergency. He went to a private hospital and they fixed him up well.
Yeah. And it's I mean, if we look in America, and this is something that a lot of people don't know, but there are hospitals in America that do not, well, they try not to overcharge their patients. And yes, they're mostly found in poorer parts of the country, but you will find them everywhere. You don't really hear about them. So how come that even in America, where these same people have the same problems as the bigger hospitals, how come they can be cheaper?
Exactly, yeah. In America, I don't know how, I honestly can't speak for America. I don't know. I know that from the little I read. So I won't be giving my point of view, because I will be just being untruthful. I don't know. So I can only speak for what happened here in Portugal. And when I was in Australia, they also had a private-public, semi-private public system there. The Medicare, when it's different, totally different now. But when I was in Australia, it was private-public, both at the same thing. You could have the public co-payment, and then also the private health insurance schemes that most people took, just to augment, just to get better, quicker service. The problem with the public service here, for an operation, it can take months. While in the private sector, you can have it in a day or two. And so that's the only real difference. Because the doctors, like I said, they mostly work as fucking stupid schemes here. They mostly work in the private sector, but they have to work sometimes during the week in the public hospitals. It's a shit system.
Yeah.
I prefer, I think in Australia, maybe, a scheme, or it could even be in England as well, where they send the, it maybe have been in America, and I'm giving this off a series. It was called Northern Exposure, if any of you Americans remember that show, where they send doctors to faraway places to have at least some part of the year if they are paid for by scholarships from the estates, etc. I don't know if that's factual or not, but that's the impression I got. But it would be fine because here in Portugal, all doctors are publicly trained, public funding. The universities get the doctors become doctors. So, first 6 years, you go and work in that hospital, and you just stay there. That's what I would suggest. After you get that, you can go to the private sector, but you still have to do certain shifts in the public. They can get fucking rich as much as they want, and the people would have sort of a win-win situation. That's what my opinion, anyway. As a centrist, neither a socialist nor a man and cap and so on. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah, no, that's me too. The thing is, we have a healthcare system that is way too bloated, and
Yes.
it's bloated because of the money that's been poured in. It's not that doctors are overcharged. Well, they are, but it starts with the pharmaceutical industry. I started making a video about it some time ago, and I was surprised. I always thought that the biggest earning industry out there would be banking. It wasn't. The pharmaceutical industry is the biggest earner by far. That's just...
Yes.
Well, yeah, because not everybody trusts banks, and you don't have an option of not trusting pharmaceuticals. Well, I mean, I guess you do, but you won't for long.
But don't you see the inherent problem with that? I mean, you are creating medication that people need to survive, and you basically can ask whatever you want, especially if the system protects you so that other people cannot make that medication cheaper. I mean, look at something as simple as paracetamol, which is a simple painkiller, but it's very old, so it has no protection. You can buy it as cheap as 30 cents for a package, and you can get it as expensive as €5 a package. But that's because of the how do you call it? I mean, you can buy the more expensive one because it added caffeine, for example, or blah blah blah. But that's a choice. But if we
Panadine, for example.
Sorry?
Panadine, that's what we had in Australia before. It was Panadol and codeine.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the same things. The prices of those are relatively low. Why? Because a lot of companies can actually make it. They're allowed to make it. And that drops the prices. But then if we look at something like the EpiPen, epinephrine, for fuck's sake, do you know how cheap epinephrine is?
Nope.
But the EpiPen is fucking expensive.
Mm.
And what is the EpiPen? It's a delivery system. That's all it is. And it's not even a unique delivery system.
Yes, exactly. Portugal introduced law to have generics. I don't know if it covers every single pharmaceutical groupings, because they come in groupings. But the prices didn't really drop that much. Yeah, they only dropped about 5%, where you'd expect them to be a huge drop in pricing when you introduce a generic, because as you said, they can be made super cheap. But here in Portugal, we are the biggest fucking con artists in the world, I tell you, and the biggest what do you call them? Scamming and all that shit. We are top dogs at that. We scam the shit out of everyone. Yeah, even in Portugal everywhere. The prices you think they drop, but they haven't dropped that much. Like 5%.
Yeah.
Because the pharmaceutical companies that were small, that were making the cheaper ones, they said, we're going to raise them so we can get more profit, and that's what they did. And so they are still cheaper than the brand ones, but
Yeah, but they're
not by that much.
no, because that's the market for you. Because they are cheaper. Because hey, I can be cheaper than they are, but I can't. Well, I can ask as much as I want for it still, because hey, you charge 100, so I'll charge 80. That means I'm still 150%. 1/5 cheaper than what you charge, and I'm still making loads of money because it only costs a little to actually make it. I mean, as I said, they figured out that a lot of the biochemicals are harder to make than stuff like paracetamol, because paracetamol is based on chemicals, but biomedicals are grown, and they can
Exactly,
still
yes.
do that at a fraction of what they're actually charging for it. I mean,
I've always wondered, is paracetamol really effective? I've heard that it seems not that effective as a painkiller. Sort of like a placebo effect. Your wife works in a hospital, doesn't she?
Well, I work in a hospital.
There you go, exactly. That's what I've always been. I take aspirin for all my pain, and it works beautifully for me.
It depends what you use it for. I mean,
Just pain relief.
Pain relief, it could be useful depending on the cause of the pain. It works well as a how do you call it, an add-on. For example, you have a pain medication. Certain pain medication works twice as good if you combine it with paracetamol, but they'll not tell you which ones, so you don't know. But they will tell you not to mix medication.
Yeah, I know that aspirin can thin out your blood, so it's not very good if you're hemophiliac and all that. Yeah, I know all that.
It's kind of funny because the paracetamol is often used, for example, if you have a headache, but we know that drinking a glass of water is more effective than paracetamol. But if you take paracetamol, you have to do it with a full glass of water. Ta-da!
Exactly. Oh, that's probably where I heard it. Yeah, my father, he can't take aspirin. He takes Brufen and paracetamol. Paracetamol, in fact, he was given paracetamol.
Yeah,
I prefer naproxen. Like, I'm not big on taking pills. Like, I mean, I've had some pretty bad headaches, and I have avoided taking pills. But when it gets bad enough that I need some relief, I prefer the naproxen. It works great.
Yeah, but that's because naproxen actually is a painkiller, where paracetamol is more, how do you call it? Paracetamol's main job isn't to kill the pain, but to stop infections. That doesn't sound right, but yeah, that's basically it. It drops fevers and stuff like that. It's the fact that it can help you with pain relief is actually a side effect.
What's that?
It's a side effect.
Yes.
It's not their main thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the same that everyone talks about how Viagra is covered by healthcare insurances, but then forget to mention that it's actually heart medicine. The fact that you can
heart medicine, exactly. Just the side effect that makes your dick grow.
Yeah, that's a side effect. And I'm sorry, but if you need Viagra because you want to have a big dick, then your insurance company will not cover it. You need to have a heart condition to have it covered.
It actually doesn't make your dick bigger. It just dilates the capillaries and the arteries of the blood vessels. So that's the main effect it does. So if you have a heart problem, you need to dilate them so you get aerated into the heart. And the side effect, your penis also has those type of capillary vein and nerve and blood vessel endings. So they are also dilated, which means you get a raging hard-on.
Yeah, but that's a side effect. And then you have feminists complaining, well, I want my birth control covered by healthcare because Viagra is covered by healthcare. It's hard medication, for fuck's sake.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is that the pill, which is birth control, is often covered by healthcare as well, because it isn't only used as birth control, but it can also be used as treatment against acne, for example. And if it is, then it is covered.
Yes. Exactly. That's really, yeah.
But yeah, they lie to us about a lot of stuff. Let's in all fairness, it's beyond me, but they lie about a lot of stuff.
They do, but they're becoming less and less believed. So it's a good thing. They let them keep telling those lies. People are saying, "Oh, you're lying." Okay, next time. And there's no next time. It's not like you lied to me once, shame on you. You lied to me twice, shame on me, or whatever Bush said. Anyway.
But it's kind of funny though, because they're now pushing for the fake news bullshit. So they try whatever they can to be able to keep lying to you. It's beyond me. And in healthcare, I mean, even worse than in the financial market, even worse than in the petrochemical market, in the pharmaceutical market, it's so fucked up.
And a wild Cthulhu appears.
Hey, Omegon is back. Omegon. How do you want to pronounce it? He doesn't want to pronounce it at all. Okay.
How is the world? No, the universe destroying business of Omegon. He's probably having problems, mic problems. Or
He's probably just having some random chick make him a sandwich.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, awesome with him. Yeah. Okay, I think we've covered two good subjects. What next? Carrie Fisher died?
Well, yeah, people die. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not happy that she died. But yeah, well, how old was she? 60-something?
60, yeah.
Yeah, she was exactly 60.
I still have to see to get there, to be honest.
I have 11 years. Well, not 11, 10, because I'm be turning 50 in March next year. So, yeah.
I have 30, or I'm sorry, I have 28 and 2 months left, so I have much time. But hopefully I'll be dead before then because I smoke and eat like garbage.
I used to smoke and I still eat like garbage and I drink a lot, so that's okay. I have a good topic. Our dear friend Jonathan McIntosh, again by everyone posting the slave Leah.
Really?
Yes.
I got blocked by him today.
How is he triggered by that, though?
Here's his tweet. For those showing images of
It's
Leia
the male
as a
gaze.
slave, the search term you are looking for is General O. Ghana.
What the fuck? It's how she got famous.
I'll post a here you go. It's a presenter. Everyone can see this, right? It's from WikiLeaks. Yeah. Everyone bloody her iconic outfit for Liz Reptile. She asked people to post. I posted it because to me, that is my love for her.
Yeah.
I grew up loving her when she's 10 years older than me. So I always said, shit, I still have a chance. So I got married though. And I fell in love with her and I am honoring her. And this little shit kicker, which if I ever met him in public, in person, I'd beat the shit out of him. In Portugal, if no one witnesses, I get away with it. So,
I think that's true everywhere in the world. If no one witnesses it, you get away with it.
Here, I don't look for genetic material and all that shit. I'd beat him up without I'd even cover that aspect. I wouldn't leave genetic evidence. But he is disrespecting her memory. If he is a nerd like I am, of any sort, I disown him from being a nerd because she loved that outfit. You can see of course, she was also drugged up at the time, but it doesn't matter. But she loved that outfit. She wore it more than once. People have been, what's that word? Commemorating her, or to me, it's empowering. She empowered being a strong. She killed the fucking Wookiee. Not the Wookiee. The fucking.
Yeah.
Triggered.
The Hutt. The Hutt.
She killed the Hutt.
Sorry.
Well, she killed the Hutt
The
with
Hutt,
the
yeah.
chains she was bound by. But Princess
Exactly,
Leia was always a pretty strong character.
Yeah, that's the most breaking your chains moment you can fucking ever see.
It's kind of double though, because if we look back into our written and movie history, we have a lot of strong independent women. Well, strong coupled women as well, women that were part of a relationship, etc., etc. But for some reason, we're going back in history and saying, "Oh, this isn't good and that's not good." And I mean, I don't know how many of you remember the show The Saint.
Yes, I do.
I think
Roger Moore,
it
yes.
was The Saint. No, not sorry, The Saint, not The Saint. The Avengers.
Oh yeah, Emma Peel. Yes, I do.
Emma Peel. Her fucking name, Man Appeal. That's why she was called M Appeal.
Yeah.
But she was a brilliant character.
And strong and intelligent.
Strong,
brave.
intelligent. You would respect someone like that.
Absolutely.
Same with Charlie's Angels, not the remake the remake movie, but the original series. Those are strong, independent women. You would look up to them.
Exactly. And what these little social dominance warriors? They're not social justice warriors. They're social dominance warriors. This goes out to who invented the term. I think Cognitive Thought's brother. I can't remember his name now. He was the one that first tweeted it to me, and I've been giving him credit. He's the original one. Social dominance warriors. They have actually enslaved women.
Yeah, but you notice this very. What the hell is that? What happened? Did I do that?
I don't know.
Oh no, that was further nothing. Okay. If you look at the way they are pushing certain narratives, and at the same time pushing other narratives. I mean, oh no, strong women, yada yada yada, strong women. Oh,
only if
you
they're
can't
strong in the way that they deem strong.
Indeed. I mean, try to find one feminist out there that is positive about Margaret Thatcher.
None.
Yeah, but that's because Margaret Thatcher hated feminism. And feminism can't claim Margaret Thatcher like they claimed certain other women. Because if we look, for example, Madame Curie, feminism is claiming Madame Curie. She had nothing to do with feminism.
Nope.
But she also never actually spoke out against feminism because she had nothing to do with feminism. But Margaret Thatcher is on the record speaking out against feminism. So feminists hate Margaret Thatcher. I mean, you talk about the glass ceiling. She was the Prime Minister of Great Britain for, what, 12 years or something?
Yes. She won the Falklands War.
She won the Falkland War, that too.
And
she was a very strong politician in the whole of Europe. I mean, she is everything Angela Merkel wants to be. And don't get me wrong, I don't agree with her politically. I definitely do not. I mean, the poll tax, for fuck's sake, no. But she was.
And she destroyed the mining industry. She destroyed the manufacturing industry of the UK. Of course, she had those bad faults, but she was a strong woman.
Yeah, and she was a great politician. I mean, I can blame her for the things she done wrong, just like I can blame all the other politicians for the things they done wrong.
Do you guys remember that Spitting Image, that satirical program with the puppets that imitated the British politicians? It was the 70s, 80s, the 80s. Geez, I'm old. I don't care. They do Margaret Thatcher as the leader, strong, and the other male cabinet members as fucking whimpering fools, basically. And even her husband, he was also portrayed as a whimpering. Well, I don't want to say idiot because he wasn't an idiot.
No,
He
but
was just quietly spoken. He was just quietly spoken.
yeah,
He was fine. He was absolutely fine. Her having the spotlight, and he was content. And that doesn't make him weak in any ways. He knew where he was. He was her support. He didn't do a good job in raising the children because one of them is an idiot. One of them tried to be a pseudo mercenary and almost got killed and all that shit, or got arrested and all that. And her daughter, Margaret Thatcher's daughter, I don't know what happened to her. So, but she was a strong woman, and they hate her, yes. And I don't know how they would feel about Eva Peron, another strong-ish woman.
Joey.
Yeah. Oh, we must post the link in the chat, and if anyone wants to come on.
There you go, Master.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to go AFK. Second, I'll be right back.
No worries. Just leaves me and Marty. I'm going to post that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to post the link invite in the chat if anyone wants to come on. Be my guest, guys. I'm always a friendly person. I don't bite much.
Yeah, hey, Wart, get in here.
Yeah, I'd love you. I try to even speak Scottish if you want. Get in here.
Yeah, come on. I've been trying to chat one-on-one with her for the longest freaking time.
I've been trying to get her to as well into my chats, and she never gets on. What are you doing, woman? Get in here. Oh, William Wallace, yeah.
Speaking of William Wallace, I have not watched Braveheart in like a year and a half. I really should get around to doing that again. That's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
It's not too bad. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Mel Gibson. Nice. Go on. Sorry, Marty. Go on.
Nah, I was just going to say that as far as historical inaccuracies go, that movie is laden with them. However, I can look past all that because it's such an amazing movie. I mean, the acting, the story, the characters. Yeah, exactly. It is, in fact, Stevens Island, isn't it? Worked. But, I mean, everything works so well in that movie that I don't care that there isn't a bridge.
Yes, we know, but they do take liberties. And in fact, Mel Gibson is not as bad as many directors when it comes to taking artistic liberties of historical facts. He did condense how many years? About 15 years that William Wallace sort of, or less.
He never sacked York. Sure, he did invade northern England, but he never made it to actual York. But I mean, the whole lot of historical inaccuracies, but I just don't care. It's such a great movie. I absolutely love his motive. I absolutely love his motivation. His motivation wasn't to free Scotland. It was solely because those, quote, English bastards took his wife away from him. I mean, it was a revenge tale, and I love a good revenge tale.
I've been rewatching. I don't think it is the best documentary series ever produced, and probably will never be equaled. It's World at War, 1973, narrated by Sir Laurence Olivier.
And
hello, Habib, my friend. How are you?
And a wild Habib appears, just like a lot of wild Pokemon. I got to catch one.
He hasn't talked yet. You'll get done.
Hello there.
Oh, we have him on. How are you, my friend?
Not bad. I just walked to the balcony so I don't bother my sleeping roommate. I can talk to you guys.
Cool. Awesome.
This is the blessing of having a wireless headset. This is the best thing ever.
I thought you sounded different.
Yeah, I'm not using my my broadcasting mic. But since Carlos is using like I don't know, your microphone sounds like you're talking from underwater somewhere. So I
Oh
thought,
god, I need to get another one probably.
so yeah.
I've been dropping it too much, man.
What is this? Like this is 2017, 2016 in review.
No, just,
Oh, God.
just-
It's been the best year ever.
Yeah.
I adore 2016. I would wrap myself up in a blanket that just said 2016.
And
And
I would
it's
shoot
not
you if
just
I
because
see you
of
doing
Trump.
that. I would seriously just go to the US so I can buy a gun and I would shoot you with it.
Why? That's not nice.
Fucking hate 2016, man.
Well, I mean, this is the year where we finally stopped taking all the shit. I mean, really, that's the point.
Oh yeah, you hold on. You stop taking all the shit. So you elected a president that's basically
type
building a
of
bigger swamp than the one that you claim to drain. Yeah, we started getting an increase. We got an increase, I think, of 75% at least of terrorist attacks all around the world, especially in Europe. In the Muslim world, it's basically the same like every year. What else? Yeah, the pound is taking a bounding.
That's why they call it pound.
The dollar's going up.
Yeah. Not by much. Don't really.
No,
Don't be hopeful. It's up
the
by
euro
what?
will collapse soon, though.
By 7%. Give me a break.
Oh,
And
listen.
with the OPEC not really looking that well in the next few years, to the point where Saudi Arabia is cutting all public jobs salaries by 10 to 30%. And by the way,
Wow.
your currency, America, is kind of linked to the Saudi Riyal. If the Riyal falls, the dollar will fall. So, yeah.
I saw.
I thought it was pegged the other way
American-
around. I thought they had the real pegged to the dollar.
Yeah, but still,
They're
Um,
interlinked.
yeah, they're not interlinked per se. Well, they are interlinked in a way.
They are interlinked because of the
but-
petrodollar.
Yeah,
globalism, yeah.
But if the real falls, basically, the dollar will fall with it. And who knows? With Putin taking more and more, trying to get more influence in the Middle East, especially being friends with places like Iran, Iraq, and Syria, trying to get more oil countries on his side. Maybe they're gonna have to start a mini OPEC, and China is all for that. They're like, yeah, fuck trading with OPEC, fuck trading in U.S. dollars to buy oil. Let's just use our own currency.
It's
So
It's
the
going to
dollar
be the
is-
end of the petrodollar, yeah.
So yes, U.S. dollar is going up for now, dude, but it's not gonna last.
And the European Union is cutting, placing policies that are cutting petrol use by a lot.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. The EU at least is handling it pretty well, to be honest.
The euro,
I was looking at Twitter today. Probably like in the morning. Like that was yesterday anyway. And there was a guy, a friend of mine, and he was arguing with another guy. They're still so hung on Brexit. He can't even see anyone mention Brexit without getting into an argument with him. And he's like, "Yeah, Brexit was like the EU was pretty awful for SMEs. SME is small and medium-sized establishments, small businesses."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, before I get into this argument, I don't want to get into it uninformed. I just looked up SMEs EU report, and I pulled 5 different reports from 5 different organizations, and all of them agree that SMEs are doing pretty damn well under the EU. There's only one sector that is suffering. It's they classify it as the very high export business, and that's like rapid exports. You're talking something like automobiles or something like that, and it fell by 30% since 2011. But one of the reports was pretty helpful. It would compare each of the sectors with the global economy of that same sector, and yeah, the EU, when it's falling, it's not really falling outside the norms of the rest of the world. So, and the only complaint that is shared with SMEs within the EU is that they're having a hard time finding skilled labor in specific positions. and that's because of the freedom of movement. People will try to move, like highly skilled labor will move to the, a higher standard of living. They would move to Germany, Italy, the UK, and
France, UK, yes.
yeah, but they wouldn't really live in Poland. So yeah, establishments and companies in Poland are having a hard time attracting these kind of people. So, and because the EU, and again, that's another side effect of the EU that people don't really see, is still immigrating to the EU as someone who's not a refugee is pretty hard. So to have someone on a working visa, on a contract, to move to the EU when you're not an EU citizen is not that easy.
Yeah, but that's at the same time, that's the problem with the EU. The problem is not people being able to join into our culture. The problem is that the people that want to join into our culture, want to be part of this culture, we make it hard. But people who do not want to be part of this culture, we open the doors for them.
I'm not arguing here about what is good and what is bad in the EU. I'm just saying that the EU, like a lot of things in this world, are a mixed bag.
True.
But here's my point of this entire little rant of mine. Just because some of the people that I hang out with are against the EU, you don't really put all the evils in the world on the shoulders of EU. Because the EU might not be 100% successful, it might not be 100% perfect. Nothing is. But you can't just go like, well, the EU is the cause of terrorism, the EU is the cause of poverty, the EU is... No, come on, you have to... No, and here's his reply to me, and I'm not even kidding. Check my mentions, you'll find it. And he's like, how come you forget the reports and talk to actual businessmen? And my reply was, so you prefer anecdotes over reports and statistics?
Yeah, the real problem with the... No,
I mean, that's my job. So, yeah, triggered.
No, but the real problem with the EU is not what does or does not work, because this is a bit double. I'm against our current European Union, but the concept of the European Union, I am for.
It is a nice concept, and in the Gulf countries here, we strive to be something like it. I mean, the freedom of movement is here. We've been talking about a unified currency since, I don't know, the 1970s. It's never been...
The main problem with the EU, though, is that it's a huge political body where the people have no influence. It's a big politician's bastion, but it isn't a democratic one. And that's the main issue that the people in Europe have with the European Union.
Oh,
and it's not being addressed.
I get it. And I get that.
That's the Brexit. That's the main reason for the Brexit.
I get that 100%. And for people who voted Brexit for that, I support them 100%. Yet I still feel for all those people who bought all the lies that their politicians were saying about the NHS getting millions of dollars a week and about the border control and all that kind of bullshit. And then they're like, and then they're like, when Brexit won, they're like, oh, well, it's not about that actually, guys.
But there were a lot of people. There were a lot of people that did recognize it. And for example, I live in the Netherlands. We had a referendum. What was it? A year ago by now, about the European trade agreement with the Ukraine. The Dutch people voted against it in the referendum. And we were one of I think 2 countries voted against it. And ever since we voted against it, our government is trying to push it through. Yeah, but then why did you give us a referendum? You asked what the people think. Most of the people were against it.
What was the ratio?
I can't remember that. I have to look it up.
It was high. It won by a lot. I remember.
Yeah, it was quite high. And a lot of people then say, well, yeah, but you're only... a lot of people only voted against it because they were against current politics. And I'm like, even if that is true, don't you think that makes listening to it more important instead of less important?
Exactly.
Oh, I get it. I mean, here's the thing about referendums, that if you read into the EU constitution, and it's a convoluted thing, by the way, all referendums, including the one in the UK, it's only advisory. It's not legally binding in any way, shape, or form. And that kind of stuff.
That's not true. That's not true. Governments can claim to have advisory referendum or decisive referendums.
Okay.
In Portuguese constitution, all referendums are legally binding.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have that many.
Yeah. I mean, this is only the second one the Netherlands had.
The last one we had was legalizing gay marriage, and the one before that was legalizing abortion. So that was 2000, mid 2000s, and the last one about legalizing gay marriage was 2011 or 10. I can't remember. So we don't have that many referendums here because they are, by definition, by our constitution, legally binding.
All right, then I stand corrected, I guess.
But these are just specific countries. That's in our constitution. I'm sure that in Holland they are not. UK, I don't know. I think they are not as well.
In the Netherlands,
Portugal,
it depends. I mean, they don't have to be. But in this case, they said it would be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I saw the government lied. Can't let me surprised.
No. Because the European Union cannot deny governments their own referenda. They cannot deny their own sovereignty, indeed.
But they sort of did, because the European Union did sort of ignore the results, and they still went ahead. And I think they did rectify the trade with Ukraine and that. But coming back to the European Union, I personally hate the European Union as it is now. It's a bureaucratic monolith, almost to a point where it's I wouldn't even go. I won't go as far as saying it's a dictatorship, but it's very authoritarian. Saying that, I could give you more reasons for why the European Union did good for Portugal than it did bad things it did. I could argue that point. I have them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of points for and against the EU as it is, and the question that I keep asking people who are so against the EU, I'm like, okay, imagine this, like tomorrow they just decide to dissolve the EU. Is everything going to be better? And unfortunately, most of them say yes. They are so sold on the idea that everything will be nice and rosy as soon as the EU is dissolved.
Yeah, it wouldn't be better, but it wouldn't be worse. The main problem, most Europeans that know what they're talking about. Sorry, maybe that's it's not just the populist ones, but the ones that know what they're talking about. The problem with the EU is that it's basically an elitist organization set to govern the European Union without influence from its citizens.
Yeah, and that needs to be fixed. I agree with you.
And that needs to be fixed. And I personally believe, but that's the thing though, should we make Europe like a superstate? Because that's what they're pushing for. And a lot of people are against that. But to me, I'm saying, you know what? Make it a superstate, but make it a democratic one.
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Or at least a semi-democratic one. I mean,
I agree.
Federalist system,
like America. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, our system isn't perfect, but it works.
By works as in, like, how does it work? I'm trying to understand.
I mean, we have our various semi-independent territories or states. They operate with a fair amount of autonomy. They have their own laws, their own set of state taxes, and ideally, the federal government operates as an umbrella term, as an umbrella structure to trickle down universal rights, speech, and of course, prior to the Civil War, each state had its own independent, mostly independent armed force. You know, your Tennessee Reserves, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't work too. Yeah, that didn't work out too well when the Civil War came, so they adopted a federal military, which I, of course, support because you really don't want to pit brother versus brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's like my observation, at least from someone who lives in the Gulf states, where we are having our own. The GCC Council is basically like a mini EU, but when I look at the US compared to the EU is completely different. Like, it had already, those states were already established, they're already there, they've been there for hundreds of years, and then you just have this huge monolith just imposed on them. They're like, hey, let's just do this, let's give it a shot, and they went on it like, throw it one shot, let's just do it now, and they implemented everything from the get-go. That's not the way you do things. It's not like you just implement it now and let's iron out the details later. It's almost like releasing a premature game and going like, let's fix the bugs later. That's not how it works. The U.S. is way different because it was formed that way. It was formed ever since the Constitution was written. It was written that way, and yes, there were so many addendums to the Constitution, but still, it was formed to be a federation the way it was. The Gulf states, on the other hand, I mean, we've had this Gulf Council since I forgot the history of it. That was like preschool history for me, but yeah, since the 1960s to 70s, and like I said, the talks over unified currency are still taking place, but they're taking their time. Just last week, they implemented the law where I can just go into any public hospital in here with my own ID card, even though I'm from Saudi and I live in Dubai. But yeah, I have access to public health care. It was just implemented now, even though I had the freedom of movement before, but I had to get insurance before. Now it's not the case anymore. There are still limitations for me. I can't, for example, I can't vote for any I can't vote for any let's say any election or whatever in the UAE, yet I can do that in Saudi. So that's still not there. There's still so many limitations here and there. And I imagine if they had done it the same way that you have done it, so they're like, hey, let's just do it now from day one. Let's just implement all the things. It wouldn't go as smoothly as it is going right now. I mean, most of the states, like you go to Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi, and UAE, and Oman, they're all different countries. They have their own laws, their own constitutions, their own cultures, and everything. They're just unified under this huge trade agreement and unification of a lot of things when it comes to even like the kind of power plugs that we use. It's all unified under that huge agreement. But still, they're taking it one small step at a time. And some people are just going like, let's just speed it up. Let's just do it now. And I'm like, no, actually, I kind of like it. Just take your time. Make sure that the time is right for every single step. I'm okay with that. But the EU didn't do it that way. They were just like, implement everything. And that's why we get a whole mess right now. They're just ironing out the bugs in a pre-release beta.
Yeah, but beta in government doesn't work, apparently.
I know.
Because sadly, in video games, when my game crashes, I got to reload or possibly, just wait till they release a patch. But when governments bug in real life, people die.
I know, but here's the thing. I mean, you're already stuck.
Where's the restart button?
Yeah, you're already stuck with this beta version of a government. What do? Do you just dissolve it? Do you just uninstall it and go like, I'm just gonna live without it? Or you're just gonna have to try to find a way to speed up the fixes? I mean, there are two approaches for this.
I mean, speeding up fixes. I mean, that could just make things worse. It could make things better. I mean, you really have to feel. I mean, as I said with the U.S., you can't really. Like France and Germany, for instance, two completely different nations with different cultures and ideals on what makes people great, and you can't really just have, some catch-all bug fix for different states and different peoples with different wants and different needs.
No, but that's the good thing about the American system. I mean, for a very long time, I always thought that going for a pure democratic system would have been better. But especially during the last election, you can really see why a representative republic that America has is actually a good way. Because if you look at, for example, where Trump won and where Trump lost, he only became a president because of the representative system that America uses.
The electoral system?
But, well, America doesn't have a popular vote system. But this is a good thing because the popular vote, if you look at a map of where Republicans won and where Democrats won, and don't look at it from a state point of view, but look at it from a county point of view, you will see that most of America turned red. Only the high populated areas, the Democrats win more votes.
And that's
California, New York. A few other states, yeah, exactly.
What's hilarious though is pretty much only in Illinois, pretty much only Chicago voted for Hillary. However, the entire state went to Hillary.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the map, I mean, almost every other area on the entire map voted Trump, but the
Yeah.
state still went to Hillary.
yeah,
Uh,
that's why I'm saying you should look at the county version and not the state version.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about like what California was like 30 to 40% voting on Trump versus 60. I was expecting a lot higher than that. So yeah.
Yeah, and the thing, I think I had a very long discussion with Marty about the whole electoral college, and where I see where it fails is that it kind of erases a lot of the votes, because the idea that winner takes all of those electoral college voters.
Yeah,
it
that's
makes
definitely
no
a
sense to
flawed
me.
system. Yeah,
And
I would definitely appreciate a split system where it's divvied up by.
Yeah, you win
Population.
by 50%. Therefore, 50% of that state will vote for you. The other guy got 30%, so 30. But then you are more or less back to a popular vote system. But now it's a popular vote system based on how do you call it?
it's a little bit weighted then, because more dense populated states would get a little bit less of power to sway the vote that way. And the second failing that I see from the electoral college, and I think that's the biggest failing, is that you have the districts that have no say whatsoever.
Yeah, but I mean what Carlos Davis is saying in the chat, all democratic systems are flawed, which is true. I mean, I can't remember which politician it was, but he said democracy is not the best way to create a government. It's just the best that we have at the moment.
Of course, and just because it's not really great, it's not perfect, it doesn't mean that we don't have to fix it. The only thing that I took from college is this lesson that I took in MIS 101, and it's still stuck in my head. I lead my TILF with it. It says that if it's not broken, then keep looking.
Yeah.
So you always look for something to fix.
Yeah. If it's not broken, keep looking. Don't fix it. But the thing is, I mean, if we look at bringing it back to Europe again, if we look at the European Union, the concept of the European Union of a free market, which it isn't, because that's the biggest bullshit. We don't have any free markets anywhere. I mean, but okay, the idea was Europe would be a free market. There would be free trade of free movement of people and products. That never really happened. It's cheaper than what it was before the European Union, but it isn't what the European Union promised it would be. But what it is an extra layer of government telling you what you're allowed to do.
Yeah, and it's like the freedom of movement of people. Yeah, it's there. The freedom of products moving, not so much.
It's not there. And the freedom of people moving, that's a good one. Don't get me wrong. Hell, my wife is Polish, so I don't mind. And my father was Italian. I simply do not care. I don't care where you come from. If you're
trust me, like for tourists, like you guys get a lot of tourists from my area as well. They fucking love it. They just get a visa to wherever they're gonna land. So let's say they're gonna land somewhere in Spain, and they just take this long trip all over from Spain to France, and then I don't know, somewhere in Germany, and then they ended somewhere in Poland, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna go home.
Yeah.
They don't have to bother with getting like 12 different visas, because getting a visa is a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when the UK signed the whole Brexit thing, and there were a few people whining about the visas, and you have people like Sargon going like, oh my god, you're gonna have to apply for a visa, that's so hard. I'm like, have you ever applied for a visa? It's not that easy.
I know.
It's a pain in the fucking ass.
I know, it really is. I know. I had to do that a few times. I went to Bulgaria when Bulgaria wasn't part of the European Union, or wasn't even trying. I mean, we're talking about 20 years ago. It is a pain in the ass. But then again, you know, I don't care, because that part, yes, it makes it easier for people, but that's not the real issue. I don't care if tourists come to the Netherlands or to Europe. I simply do not care. If you're a tourist and you want to see what this country is like, fair enough. But you're a tourist, so eventually you will go back home.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
I'm sorry, making this point. And if you want to come and live in Europe, I still do not care. to me, you're welcome. You come to our house, you live by our rules. If you are willing to do that, who am I to say you're not welcome? But what
there's a lot of people on the internet that just keep telling me that I'm not welcomed over there.
Yeah, but that's because people are idiots, because they don't know any better, because they are scared. And why are they scared? Because we have idiots coming in, because the European Union allows them to come in. If we look at, for example, people from Syria, refugees from Syria, amongst these refugees are genuine refugees, people that actually come here because they don't feel safe in Syria. Those people, to me, are welcome. But they come here and they want to be part of our society. But that's not every refugee.
Well, here's the thing about refugees. Like what happened in Aleppo, for example, the last few weeks.
What's Aleppo?
Aleppo.
No, sorry. Ever since Gary Johnson said that.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Gary Johnson.
Every time I play Crusader Kings 2 and I'm attacking the Middle East, I always have to go through Aleppo, and every time I walk past it, I'm all like, "What's Aleppo?"
Well, I still didn't know what Aleppo is, honestly. Even for me, honestly, I just haven't followed this that much, honestly.
I've been to that city before. I visited Syria 4 times in the past before this whole thing happened. And what happened in Aleppo right now, 110,000 people lost their homes. And right now, they're just homeless.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is no other Arab country wants to take them in other than Jordan, and Jordan doesn't really have much to give. Seriously, Jordan is a very, very poor. Lebanon is even worse off than Jordan.
Yeah, but they are actually trying. But if you look at the big brother next door, Saudi Arabia, fuck it, you're not welcome. The whole country is basically desert. There's plenty of room to help these people, but they don't want to do it.
I know.
But then everyone is talking about how Europe needs to fix this problem.
Now, hold on. I'm coming to the point. Now, most of those people would try to either go to Jordan. Some of them actually came to the UAE under pretenses of visiting visas. They're just going to stay here for the amount of time that the visa is going to allow them, which is a month, and then they're going to figure it out. I met one of them in the bar last week.
Well, I wish them. The real refugees, I wish them all the luck in the world. I really.
Yeah, the thing is, when I talked to the guy in the bar, I mean, he already is working on getting a visa to go to Germany and then apply for, a refugee status over there. And this is what he said to me. He said that I am worried that my seat is going to be taken by some Tunisian guy, some Pakistani guy, but just some Algerian dude that's just going there because it's an opportunity right now.
Or a Moroccan, or.
By the way, this is something that I said online on my last stream, and I stole that from him. It's not something that I made up. He said what Germany is doing right now with the whole refugee crisis is almost like seeing that there is a famine in some country. And instead of just going around in that country and giving food to people, they just have a truck filled with donuts and they just leave it downtown somewhere. And they're like, we're done. And they just leave it there and just walk away.
Exactly. That's what I feel like about it.
And I'm like, you don't do that. You just make sure that the donuts go to the places where people need them the most. I didn't come up with this. He made this up. And I'm like, I'm going to use this.
Yeah, but
I was like, sure.
But that's one of the main issues we have, though. I mean, we take in, well, not by choice, but the European Union is taking in refugees massively. But if we look at the media coverage of what's happening in Syria, do I think Assad is a good guy? No, I simply don't. But name me one group fighting in Syria at this very point in time that I can trust. Then the only one I can say is Assad. No,
I can't even trust him.
No, I don't trust him either. But he has never done anything he didn't come up for. Because he's always been open about what he did. He's the only one that's been open on what he did. Now, to me, he's still a dictator, but he's the evil we know.
How about massacring women and children as soon as Aleppo was quote-unquote liberated? Literally pulling them out of their homes and shooting them on the street. That's what Assad's forces
I
did.
know, it's terrible. But they claim they did it because they were how do you call it, freedom fighters or terrorists. I'm not saying I agree with it. Don't get me wrong. I still do not agree with Assad. But out of all of the evil parties in there, he's the least of them, which is mind blowing.
I don't really like to play the lesser evil game.
Me neither. But at this point in time, that's all we have. Because I don't like it either. But there are no good groups in Syria.
Same thing with the U.S.
Oh yeah, the U.S.
wise.
Let's just bomb everything. I mean, there's a joke that says, "What is the difference between an ISIS training camp and a children's hospital?" And the American said, "I don't know. I just operate the drone."
Yeah, that's also a problem. But at the same time, and this is something we've seen throughout the Middle East. We see this in Palestine. We've seen this in Iraq. We've seen this in Hezbollah. Hezbollah is Jordania, right?
Lebanese.
Lebanese. Okay, we've seen this in Lebanon. These freedom fighters, these terrorists, these extremists, whatever you want to call them, they have recognized the fact that if they put their headquarters right next to a school or right next to a hospital, then they have a reason to say, oh, but yeah, no, they attacked the children's hospital. Yeah, because you were in it. And the only reason they attacked you was because you were in it shooting back at them. And this has been done so many times, but still the narrative is, well, they attacked a children's hospital, which is terrible. I agree. But the Middle East is such a huge mess. And don't get me wrong, I do believe that America is part of the problem in this as well.
Go ahead.
But unfortunately, this has created the situation where Assad is actually the lesser of evils. And the lesser of evils is the better choice, unfortunately, which is mind-boggling.
Let's examine all the groups that are operating in Syria right now. You have the Americans.
Yes.
Over there. Oh, then they're funding the Syrian rebels, which is
all of the different factions of them, and
the main faction that they're funding is also funded by the Saudis.
Yes.
I forgot their name, but they are a rebranded faction that used to belong to Al Qaeda.
Yes.
Yes, I mean this is one. I mean a shining example of freedom fighters.
Ansari or something.
Nusra.
Al-Nusra, that's the one. Thank you.
Jabhat al-Nusra.
I'm not good with names either, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just late and I'm bad with names, even though it's Arabic name. Nusra means victory, by the way.
Okay. I did not know that.
Or the cry for victory. And you have the Assad. Assad is supported by Iran and Hezbollah. Hezbollah is recognized globally as a terrorist group.
Yes.
And people... I grew up when I was growing up. I was a Shiite Muslim, and yes, we had Hassan Nasrallah's picture on the fridge. I used to idolize the guy. I was like, this is like my Superman and Batman, because he was fighting against the evil Israelis and this small militia against the greater evil. I really idolized the guy. I went to Lebanon in the 90s just to watch one of his speeches live. But after the year 2000, I saw him, the guy that I used to idolize, in a country that I love. I still love Lebanon. After the war was over with Israel and they wanted to dismantle his private army, he drove his tanks in the middle of Beirut, destroyed one of their national television stations, and he paralyzed the entire city for a couple of days. And he's like, you know what? Lebanon is mine. You don't take my army away. And that's when all my admiration of him chattered, because that's not what a superhero would do.
Yeah, but that's that's the problem we have in the Middle East. And unfortunately, if you want to change this, I mean, we saw the Arab Spring, and the whole world was, well, the whole Western world was happy because of the Arab Spring, because it seemed like Arab people would stand up against the dictatorships and the theocracies, and they did. But what happened? People started funding different groups, and it turned into a civil war. In just about every country where there was an Arab Spring, there is now a civil war. It's beyond mind-boggling. And why is this? Because some factions support this, some factions support that, and I'm not saying Europe is blameless in this. I'm not saying America is blameless in this, because we've been funding certain groups. We haven't been funding democracy. We've been funding certain aggressors. And the first thing that I have to admit is that some of the groups that we have funded are fucking terrorists themselves.
Yeah, and now you became a terrorist apologizer. Because when you mention this kind of stuff, people go like, no, it's all about Islam. It has nothing to do with Western intervention.
No, but that's the thing. I mean, yes, Islam has a big part in this. It really does. But the part of the money for these guys to start fighting, it doesn't only come from Saudi Arabia. It doesn't only come from Iran. Some of that money comes from Europe.
I have to cut you just to say one thing. I just love the way you say Saudi Arabia.
Why?
It sounds great. No, don't get me wrong. It sounds great. I love it.
That's how I used to learn. That's how I learned to say it. Should we say it differently?
In Arabic, it's called Saudia. And
Saudia.
Yeah, and most of the world just calls it Saudi Arabia. You go like Arabia, and I fucking love it.
Okay.
I have everything for accent.
I also say Saudi Arabia, not Arabia. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite nice the way you said it. Yeah.
Now, anyway, the problem in the Middle East is it's more than just Islam. I mean, yes, I have a big problem with Islam, but it's way more than just Islam. But we've created so many storylines in that area. We've created so many different viewpoints. And we're basing our decisions on our own storylines. I mean, if we look at Al-Nusra is a fucking terrorist organization. But we support them. Why the fuck are we supporting Al-Nusra?
Because my tolerance and my progressivism.
But
not all Muslims.
Basically, the enemy of my enemy.
But that's the worst part. That's not true. If I have to, black and white, look at the bullshit in Syria, am I a fan of Assad? No. Am I happy that Russia is now bombing Syria to help Assad? No. But at the same time, what is the fastest way to stop fighting in Syria at this point in time? Because it's the civilians that have to carry this cross.
No,
not the fighters.
I loved the article by the Daily Mail after the fighting stopped in Aleppo. And 75% of the city was destroyed. And there was this one town square that wasn't really touched. It was just a bunch of highways, few buildings. They look like businesses. They're not really residential or anything. But yeah, it wasn't touched. And they had a photo of that area. It was untouched. And they're like, yeah, not all of Aleppo is destroyed, so the media is lying to you. And people just gobbled it up. They're like, oh yeah, they're just, they're over-exaggerating the destruction. I'm like, dude, they destroyed 75% of the city.
But that's the thing. We are being lied to by our own media because the media is peddling certain narratives. And I'm not going to go left. I'm not going to go right because it's bullshit. Do you know how much money Europe is spending to help refugees from Syria?
I would say billions.
Yes.
Yeah, millions or billions.
3.5 billion easily. And it's being more than that. Do you know how much money Europe is spending to help the refugees from Ukraine?
Very little.
100,000 to probably 1 million.
They are around 300 million.
What?
But I can show you pictures from Ukraine, and you would not know whether you were looking at Ukraine or Syria. But how many stories do we know of the Ukraine?
Yeah, that's the thing. And like I said, the sad thing is, again, let's go back to the truck of donuts.
Yeah. Well, it pisses me off though, because if we look at Ukraine, a Ukrainian refugee is not welcome in Europe. Now there are some countries on the Ukrainian border and Europe, some Eastern European countries like Poland that do take in Ukrainian refugees. But on average, a Ukrainian refugee is not welcome in Europe.
And reason-wise?
But that's the thing. There is no reason. I cannot give you a single reason. We have people coming in from Morocco as refugee. We know Morocco is a safe country. We trade with Morocco. And we have Moroccans coming here for asylum. And they know they won't get asylum, but they'll come here, they stay for a few months, they go back. But we cannot allow Ukrainians in.
Yeah, it's a little bit insane what's happening over there. And
Europe is fucked up at
the whole process of the way you take in the refugees unquestioned, and then you just give them all the social services that they want while their papers are being processed. It's a nice, humane thing to do, but not when you're dealing with that big influx of people.
Yeah, it's no longer humane. What we're doing is downright stupid. And the worst part is, if a refugee comes to Europe and commits a crime,
scot-free.
They're still scot-free. And now this is something, and I do need to point this out, because I do want true refugees to be welcome in Europe. I mean, millions, no, probably not, but true refugees. Hell, Syria was basically a Western country. So I don't care.
Yeah,
if Syrian,
to a large extent, it kind of was.
Yeah, so I don't care if a Syrian wants to come to Europe. I simply do not. The problem is this. We have people in Sweden. We have refugees in Sweden attacking and raping women. Not only Swedish women, but also women in refugee camps. What happens when a refugee has been found out to attack women? They simply relocate him to another refugee camp. Nice. What the fuck?
It's like the Catholic Church all over again.
Yes.
Like, if you can go to another Catholic church.
But they come from a culture where this is normal. No, they do not.
Their culture is not compatible to the Western culture.
But that's the thing, though. It is.
That's another lie.
Syrian culture is compatible with the Western culture.
I meant it's very violent Islamic by Western Arabian. I'm fine with that. Like extreme ones, no, not at all.
No, actually, Islam isn't compatible with Western culture. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But Syrian refugees, real Syrian refugees, they don't rape people because it's already not allowed in Syria. So when people come here and say, well, yeah, but it's their culture, bullshit.
No, that's even bullshit no matter where you go. Like,
unfortunately, it's not, because there have been countries. Look at Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, Pakistan, rape of boys is totally acceptable.
Yeah, that there's this practice of, raising little boys just to be sex toys to men.
Yes.
Yes, and that happens in Afghanistan. I'm talking about the Arabic world, and
yes, because in the Arabic world, on average, it's not allowed. But if we look at how it's not allowed in the Arabic world, even if we look at Saudi Arabia, if we look at the OPEC countries, the Burundi, I forgot all those names, the small states. As a woman, if you get raped, you have to have a man being willing to testify for you. Otherwise, you will be charged with sex outside of wedlock.
In Saudi, it's 4 men, not just one.
Yeah, the stupidity of that. Well, rape isn't allowed there. Yeah, but try to prove that you're raped. Good luck.
No, hold on. When it comes to rape in Saudi, when people go like, yeah, but rape is not allowed because the laws are against it, I'm like, how about marital rape?
Well, yeah, there is that. But no, you can't rape in a marriage because according to Quran, a woman has to, how do you call it? Be ready for her husband, always.
Yep. It's a convoluted mess. But when it comes to people going like, yeah, the average Muslim is not compatible. I'm not saying Islam. The average Muslim is not compatible with Western culture. Dude, they haven't been to any of our universities, like most.
Yeah, that's why I always say Islam is a problem and not Muslims, because there are Muslims that are not the problem. There are Muslims that are the problem. So I'm still going to say that it's roughly 50-50. But if you're a Muslim and you do not believe that Sharia is the way to go, then yeah, you seem to be okay with me.
Can I say this? Like, honestly, in my ideology, if you say anything, even extreme, I still consider you as a friend because it's freedom of speech. Honestly, I would disagree with that and be against it, but I wouldn't denounce you as a person if you have those extreme ideas.
And then that leads to my next question that I was going to ask, because I've seen people going about it before. Let's say someone believes that Sharia law is the way to go. He wants to cut off the hands of thieves. He wants to have 4 wives, and he wants to remove the right of divorce from women. He believes on those things. He believes that sexuality should be illegal. However, he is not for having a separate government. He wants to implement that within the government, within the democratic process. Are you still okay with that person or not?
Well, it's their opinion, honestly. Honestly, just saying that they still wanted to implement it into the government. I would say you can say that, and sure, that's your idea. Still.
Well, I mean, we had a minister of justice in this country who got criticized for saying the following thing: "We are a democracy, and if our country decides that they want to have Sharia, we will have Sharia." And he got criticized for it.
This is why I loves me some constitutions.
But I agree with that. No, because constitutions can be democratically changed. The question is whether you will have a society that wants that. Now, as long as your society does not, on the majority of people say, okay, we want Sharia, you should not have Sharia at all. No Sharia courts, nothing. Because you cannot have law within a law. But if the country's people all decide, like, okay, now it's time for us to go to Sharia, then you should not stop it because you think it's a bad idea. That's the thing with democracy. But what we are having now is that most of our country is against Sharia law, but a small group of people have their own little Sharia courts. So you have law within law. And we accept it?
No, you shouldn't accept it. And that's the thing. The way I would accept it is to have my inalienable rights over there preserved, and whatever is outside of that can be up for debate. My inalienable rights should be just there. My human rights that are agreed upon within the UN.
Yeah, you have the same rights as everyone else in this country, and you have the same duties as everyone else in this country. But for example, in the Netherlands, we do not allow having multiple wives. I forgot the name for it. Sorry.
Polygamy.
Thank you. We do not allow polygamy. We know. This is not even a debate. This is a fact. We know that there are Muslims in this country with multiple wives. Well, they're not married to our law, so we don't care, but they are married according to their law.
What about, okay, let me just be the devil's advocate here, even though I fucking hate polygamy as a concept. But let's say I have 3 wives and I had to seek asylum in somewhere in Europe. So do I have to divorce 2 of my wives?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You were not expecting him to just say yes, were you?
I would say yes as well. If you come to a country, you would have to follow the country's laws. And
Yeah.
the law of the country says you cannot have more than 1 wife.
But you know how...
Logically, you have to obey the country's laws. It could be wrong to your culture, but that's the country as it is.
That's what it's going to lead to this scenario where someone is going to okay, I'm going to just register one of them as my wife, and the other ones are just going to be friends.
Or slaves.
Fair enough. But then those other women, because this is the problem we're seeing in the Netherlands now, those women should go get a job. But what we're seeing is that one guy and 3 wives are married, and all 4 of them are getting social security. I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, that shouldn't be the way to go.
My goddamn welfare.
I mean, I believe that welfare can be useful, but if we have a system that allows the misuse of welfare in this way, we're basically destroying ourselves. And in all fairness, Focus, don't get me wrong. If you're a refugee, you are fleeing a situation to get to something better. If you're an economic refugee or a war refugee, I don't even give a fuck. You want to get a better life. And I can understand that, and I agree with that. But if you come from a culture where you're allowed to have 2 wives, and you want to come to my culture, you're going into my house with your 2 wives, I'm sorry, I'm not for that. Yeah, but I have to accept it. No, I don't have to accept it. You want to come to my house, then you accept my rules. If you do not want to accept my rules, why the fuck do you want to come to my house?
And I completely agree with you there. Why did you have to say sorry?
No,
Like I said,
I'm trying to make the point. I know it's not you, mate. I hope other people are listening as well. But what we're doing in Europe now is saying, well, but yeah, that's how do you call it?
That's just their culture.
Indeed, it's just their culture. Yeah, no, you're being a bigot if you won't allow them to have this. But what the hell? This has nothing to do with bigotry. This has to do with what we deem respectable in this country. How come there are actually people in the UK, Muslim people in the UK, that don't speak the language, even though they live there nearly all of their life? Because they only communicate with other Muslims in the area. There are Muslims that actually believe that most of the UK is Muslim.
Well, I mean, I see that all over the world. You see it in the US when it comes to the Hispanic population. Yeah, I see it even here in Dubai, where a lot of my friends don't speak a lick in Arabic. They just speak English. Or some of them just speak Indian. And we have a big fucking Chinese community here that doesn't speak anything other than Chinese. It's something that you have to live with when you're living in the melting pot. However, what I'm seeing in the EU area, at least, or in Europe, is that melting pots are not really working because you're creating a lot of enclaves rather than a big city where everybody's just mingling.
Yeah, but it goes further than that. I mean, I can understand people flocking together because that's what happens. I can understand that, but we actually do not apply the law to them as we do to others. We allow them to have a different way of living.
A different way of living is fine by me. I don't really give a fuck. But
no.
when it comes to applying the laws, the word of the law, then yeah,
whatever happens behind your
different.
door, if you're not breaking the law, whatever happens behind your door, I don't care. You can believe in whatever God you want to. I don't care.
For example, let me just take this another direction because I think we whined and complained about this for quite a while. But I saw this post. It was, I think, one of the not big YouTubers, forgot, either Sargon or could be Armor Skeptic, I forgot. Anyway, it was a picture of an Islamic credit card issued in the UK. And they were like, oh my God, look at the outrage. They're Islamizing our banks. And I was like, dude, the HSBC Islamic Bank division was opened back in the 1980s. And they fucking love it because Islamic banking is way more lucrative to banks than regular banking. Yes, the interest has been changed to something called a profit margin. And they kind of toy the system a little bit where it's not just changing money and playing with interest rates. They're actually doing some trade to get that transaction happen where they have a profit margin. So yes, it's an Islamic way where they don't take usury out of the money, but it's a profit margin of a transaction, a trade transaction that happened. It's lucrative and it moves a lot of goods around. So it's been around there since the 80s, but no, it's just this idea that it just happened now. Like anything that is Islamic that is happening in Europe is to be blamed and attacked. And
but that's
a little bit
also
silly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. We shouldn't point our finger at everything. We should point our finger at the things that go wrong.
Yep.
We should point our fingers. I'm sorry, if you come to live in the UK, I want you to learn the language. Do you constantly have to talk English with each other? No. If you and your husband want to talk in whatever language you came from, by all means do. But you need to know the language.
I would say you would want them to do that. They should do that, but do they need to do that? No.
No. They need to be able to speak the language. I'm not saying they need to speak the language. They need to be able to speak the language.
All right, fine.
So when they go shopping, the person behind the register should be able to talk in the language that they come from to you, and you should be able to answer in the language of that country. But as soon as you walk out of the store,
that's the exact reason why the entire world speaks English now, Because because the English traded with everybody and they said, stop speaking languages I don't understand. Learn English or I will shoot you.
That's
yeah, like,
not really true. English isn't the biggest language in the world, by the way.
Well,
it's the international trade language. It's been that way for like 200 years.
A little less, but yeah, okay, I'll grant you that, but it's still not the largest.
Well, it's still big. I mean, for Christ's sakes, like my mother in her school, when it comes to her education in the Philippines, the majority of them, they have to speak English, not Filipino. They have to speak English due to the trade, and also since the Philippines is a part of the U.S. allies, I think, after they conquered it.
Yep.
Not conquered, yeah.
Yeah, most schools in here and the UAE teach English at a very young age, and it's becoming like, I think the official languages of Dubai is Arabic, then English, and then Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
You see, like all the street signs are in Arabic and English.
Which is a good thing, because I really think that being able to talk in different languages is a good thing. So
I remember the joke by Eddie Hazard about the Dutch. He was just talking about it was before even the EU was a thing. He made that skit and he was like, just going about the UK and British people not being able to learn more than one language. He's like, look at the Dutch. They're always stoned and they learn 7 languages. So yeah, it's a thing.
Well, in the Netherlands, speaking multiple languages is considered a good thing, but it actually is physically good for you. It has been proven time and again that being able to speak multiple languages is a good protection against things like dementia.
I dated a Dutch girl for more than a year. She tried to teach me Dutch for quite a while. I don't remember a single word.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to speak Japanese
I'll forgive you because you speak English.
I was
she tried it.
Japanese. No.
And become for Christ's sakes, I'm a weeb fag. Look at my a GIF right on my profile. For Christ's sakes.
It was funny because her mom was trying to like talk to me every now and then. She would text me in Dutch, and I'd have to just go to Google Translate, and I'd send her a text in English, Google Translate, and it's like, dude, why am I talking to my girlfriend's mom? This is weird.
I've done that in class once where we were supposed to read a skit and I had to use Google Translate just to translate English to Japanese because I'm too lazy to search it up. Searching is for losers.
I'm going to respond to Broccoli. The Dutch didn't all learn English by coincidence. It's because their governments push it. Broccoli, yes, you're right. Just about every person in the Netherlands knows a little bit of German and a little bit of French. It's basically what we learn in our normal school. So
you guys hate German for some reason.
It's been a pleasure as always. Carlos, Habib, Modwayne, Octane, always a pleasure. But I haven't eaten yet, and I'm freaking dying. So
thank you for being on.
Bon appetit, mate.
All right, man.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, hold on, just a minute. What are you having?
Oh, he left.
Damn it.
Wait, can I say this? Actually, go back to the EU thing. They don't accept like certain products from around the world. Is it because what's the reason behind it? Like, is it because they care about their culture?
It depends. What products are they not accepting?
In certain parts of the EU, like say Germany or the Netherlands or any other country. Just saying as an example. I just don't know anything too much about the EU.
You're not saying anything. I mean, you're saying they don't accept certain products. What products?
I'm not sure. It's just that wait, you said I'm trying to regain my thoughts. About like they don't accept certain things, either products or something else.
No, I mean
you're not saying anything.
All right.
This is everything.
All right. I can clarify that a little bit. Like for example, there's some Dutch food products that are not being even sold in Netherlands, but they are just exported because they're not to be sold in there. And for example, the Netherlands would never, ever, ever import flowers because they're like, yeah, we've got our tulips, it's fine. So yeah, there's some level of protectionism there where they just like, you know what, we've got enough and we don't want to just import things from outside. And it's a dual-edged sword. It's a dual-edged sword, but I get why it's there.
There's a lot of protectionism going on in trade, though. So I'm not going to. Yeah. Hell, I know for a fact that Poland imports sugar from Portugal to sell in Poland. I also know for a fact that Portugal imports sugar from Poland to sell in Poland. How the fuck?
It's convoluted as fuck, man.
It doesn't make sense, but it's because of subsidies here and extra grants there. It's just the European Union is so fucked up. It doesn't make sense anymore. But it started with a lot of protectionism and politicians doing what politicians do. But these politicians, they aren't voted in, so no one can vote them out. So we're stuck with politicians.
That's a shame, really. That's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's
indeed Eleftherios, by the way. Thank you. Good point.
What did he say? I mean, I'm not in front of the computer, so I don't know what's happening in the chat.
I have an actual factual example that what Modwine just said. Portugal produces crest, watercress, right? The UK also produces watercress. Portugal buys UK watercress. We sell the UK Portuguese watercress. That is a fact.
Yeah, but why? Because of the way that subsidies work.
The European transportation, something or other. But yeah, subsidies and all that. It's the European. God, it's so much bureaucracy and shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just the bureaucracy; it's the centralizing of a few industrial enclaves all around Europe. So let's say, for example, peri-peri sauce. It's produced mainly in Portugal. Yet most of the bottling and canning and the industrial complex that helps make that a product are not in Portugal anyway. So they just have to import all that somewhere else and then import it back again so they can sell it in their own market, which is a bit absurd.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to close the factories in another country just so you can move them here? Like, this is what you have to deal with when you deal with the entire Europe as one unified sort of conglomerate. It's a fucking mess.
But if
and you know what? I don't want to be in the seat of someone going like, "Hey, you've got this mess. Please fix it," because no matter how you do it, you're gonna harm some people.
It depends, though. I mean, if you, for example, make trade free, so the movement of trade goods free, then it's not a big issue.
If the okay, hold
but
on.
the trade isn't free, because as I said, the example of sugar going from Poland to Portugal, getting packaged in Portugal and then being sold back in Poland. There is no one who can consider that a good way of making money. But somehow, because they do that, they get subsidies, and the sugar is actually cheaper than the Polish sugar in Poland. But it's the same fucking sugar.
Yeah, I know. I'm not for completely deregulation of the whole market. That would lead to somewhere, and like, you have a lot of countries in the EU that are not really producing much, so they're gonna just have the biggest impact out of all of this. I mean, the countries that they can't compete, they're gonna have to be allocated some districts. They're like, hey, you handle this, please.
Yeah.
However, I'm not saying. Hold on. I'm not saying that the EU is doing that. That's why I'm just like, I'm not for completely free market. I'm for regulation, but if the regulation is smart. Right now, we've got stupid regulations.
Yeah, but
they need to be smarter.
I really think that taking away the regulations. Well, for example, Germany has a strong production market. The Netherlands does, and France do. Italy does as well. Spain does. Portugal in certain areas, Poland in certain areas.
We have the most efficient Volkswagen plant in the world. Yes.
Well, there is that. Okay, fair enough. But if we give markets the free rein, but we have to make sure that they do not create monopolies. But other than that, we give them free rein. Trust me, it will not take long for companies to start up in areas where they can be produced cheaper.
Well, right now,
but at this point in time, that's being stopped because of the subsidies.
Right now, the SMEs are doing pretty well when it comes to not opening new businesses, but the businesses that are already there, they're getting more value. That's the thing. Like small companies are getting bigger, but they're not creating new companies. That's what's happening in the EU right now. Now, in your example, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, you're going to have a lot of countries that are going to thrive in a free market kind of thing within the EU. However, look at a country like Greece. What are they going to do? How are they going to compete? Are they going to be just leeches of the system and not going to produce anything?
But that's the whole thing. I mean, if you have a protectorate based on trade, then you're going to get companies that are unable to perform. But if you have a free market, a true free market, then the places where they can produce cheapest will be the ones that will be more successful.
Yeah, but again, like I said, it's not going to be just the cheapest. They're going to want to be around the companies where they can conduct the most business. For example, in the Middle East here,
which is all part of the price.
Yeah, in the Middle East here, most companies don't go to Amman, where it's a lot cheaper to establish a business and have rent paid and pay everything. No, they come to Dubai, one of the most expensive cities in the Middle East, if not in the world, because it's a trade hub.
Which is part of the price.
I know, but again, when you talk about companies that are going to just colonize a few trade hubs around Europe and just stay there, what about the forgotten little countries?
You're going to have to stop monopolies. So yes, you can have some companies setting up trade hubs in bigger areas, but you don't need just traders, you need producers as well.
So how are you going to stop the monopolies?
By, how do you call it? It has a name, I can't remember. You have to check them. We already have organizations in Europe that actually are set out to stop monopolies from happening. We just have to be more, how do you call it, strong about that.
Yeah, I mean, the protectionism over there, over monopolies, is good. Like SMEs would never thrive the way they are in the EU if it wasn't for that kind of thing happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that SMEs growing in the US, for example. They're not. They're dying off because bigger corporations are taking over the entire business over there, the entire economy, and the government as well. They just took it all over. I mean, for crying out loud,
but that's because
cabinet has like bigger establishment people. Like, I'm not going to talk about Trump. Anyway.
But that's because of protectionism. This is what I said earlier as well, because if we look at the pharmaceutical industries and how much money goes into making sure that they can have their patents as long as they do. All these sorts of small things, they're all protectionism. If we look at the TPP trade deal, protectionism. If we look at all the trade deals, protectionism. That's the main issue. Purely economically speaking, protectionism is the main issue. We should stop protectionism. These are the rules. These are the rules we need to live by. That's how it works. Are you going to achieve by those rules? Then you achieved. Are you not going to achieve by those rules? Then you're not going to achieve.
Got ourselves a libertarian over here.
Well, in a way, yes. But this is true for just about every level of society. This goes for refugees coming into the country. This goes for companies within a country. Either we are part of the same system, and then we should have the same rules, the same laws, and the same punishments, or we are not. But if we are not, then you cannot claim we are a free society.
Well, I think when it comes to business, like I said, I mean, I'm not going to reiterate my own idea, my previous thought, but yeah, some regulations should be there and they should be smart. I'm not for completely twisting the arm of the industry and going like, no, you have to do it this way or just get out. No,
I'm not saying we shouldn't tell the industry how to do their job at all. What we should do is say, but you're not allowed to force monopolies on people. That's the only thing we should do. But other than that, figure it out. These are the environment laws you have to abide by because we don't want to fuck up the groundwater and whatnot. These are the local laws, how to treat your employees, etc., etc. And these are the transport laws. That's it. because they go for everyone, so they also go for you.
That's fair enough.
So
I mean, I see some examples where that kind of idea would fuck up a smaller businesses, smaller countries, but
it might. But those smaller businesses are usually highly, how do you call it, dependent on handouts.
no, not really, not always. I mean, let me draw an example here, and it's all fictional. Don't quote me on it, but imagine a small plantation, let's say in Greece, that's producing sugar, and yeah, just a small place in Greece producing sugar, and because of certain economic factors, they're not able to produce it cheaply. They have to spend a lot of money on it. The profit margin is low, but they're just barely surviving. And then you have a bigger country like Germany, and they come in and they're like, we can produce triple the amount. We can sell it way cheaper than you guys. We're going to kill you now. So don't you think that a certain level of regulation should be there? If that plantation, if that business, if that's going to affect the entire economy of that one country, Greece.
Okay,
and
so
go like, hey,
let's,
Germany,
let's,
just slow down here.
Let's take your example.
Yeah.
Let's take your example. There's a small plant in Greece creating sugar, and there's a huge plant in Germany creating sugar.
And let's assume I'm adding to it I'm adding one caveat to it. That small thing in Greece is crucial to the economy of the entire country.
Just everything is crucial to anything.
No,
it always is. It always is. Everything is crucial to anything. But there's this trade hub in Greece. Sorry, there's this company creating sugar in Greece, and there's a huge company in Germany creating sugar. Now, because they are huge, they can produce cheaper.
Yep.
Okay, so then there are two questions. One, why can't the Greek company produce cheaper?
Climate change.
Maybe, very fair. I mean, I'm not saying there are no answers to it. I'm just saying this is a question.
It's a question, yeah.
And why are they producing sugar? Because if it's not cheap for you to produce sugar, why are you producing sugar? Couldn't you start producing something else? Because if your economy is based on you producing something which you can't produce efficiently, then I'm sorry, you need to find another way to do things. But those two things set aside, even though Germany can produce their sugar cheaper, how does Germany get their sugar to Greece?
Well, I mean, they can just, because of the free movement of products.
But no, there is no free movement of products. I mean, yes, you have free trade between countries, but the trade in itself, I mean, that sugar will not materialize in Greece. Getting the sugar from one end of Germany to Greece costs money.
Yeah, and still, we've got, I mean, it happened in Saudi when we started growing wheat in the desert. I know, crazy idea, but we wanted to do it back in the 70s. And it turns out that it's much cheaper to import it from the US, all the way from the US, on boats. And even though they grow it there, and they just, drive it all the way here and on boats, it's still much, much cheaper to produce and to buy. Now, the way we solved these kind of things is by setting prices. They're like, hey, we trade with you guys, and part of the trade agreement is like, you cannot sell your product for less than that price.
But there you have it. Trade agreements, protectionism.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, this is the whole thing about the EU. The EU is a convoluted trade agreement. That's how it started.
And that's the problem.
It's not even efficient, I agree.
Yeah. So in all fairness, if we go back to the example of Greece is producing sugar, Germany is producing sugar, Greece can't produce as cheap as Germany, but Germany needs to get its sugar to Greece as well, which also costs money. But if then the German sugar is still cheaper than the Greece sugar, then it's up to people themselves what they want to buy. And the funny thing is that if, for example, the German sugar comes at €1 a kilo and the Greece sugar comes at 150 a kilo, I will tell you this: there will be lots of people still buying the Greece sugar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people with enough nationalism and patriotism. They go like, "Hey, national product, let's just support it."
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that as well. Let's say
So-
it's made
so-
in America. I'm willing to buy it.
So what is the real problem here?
No, it's not a problem. It's just a
No,
case
no,
to
there is a
decide
real
on it.
problem here. But what is the real problem?
What-
Because like certain countries, because let's say, oh, you can't serve this product. Let's say a certain country has have the product can make over there cheaply versus when they make it over here is expensive. It's
The
like I think
trade agreements.
well, that and also economic wise as well.
No, trade agreements is economic wise. The trade agreements are the problem. Now, for example, Europe not allowing genetically modified food into the Europe market is protection of its people because they don't trust genetically modified foods. That's
Or even really.
but that's something else. That's me protecting my companies. My people because I don't know whether genetically modified foods are safe. But
Technically, all domesticated food is genetically modified. But,
Yeah, I know.
I'll let-
Yeah, I'm not proud of that.
By the way, and that's
I'll
why.
just let my point continue. I just want to
yeah, but you're right on that though. It is true.
I'm going to go on an anecdote here, but when my ex was visiting me here in Dubai, when we went to the supermarket, she would pick up like a can of juice or whatever, and she's like, "This is produced in Netherlands," and I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "We never get that in the store over there." I'm like, "This is GMO. That's why."
The thing is, at first I thought you said, can I just put a little joke here? I thought you said a can of Jews, not juice, Jews.
we don't sell those in supermarkets, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's
You
like
don't sell Jews in markets?
no. Unfortunately, I mean, yeah, I need some
they
firewood.
stopped
you know.
selling them. They didn't sell.
I mean, yeah, Jews, you do pay money for them a lot. So yeah, it's just like products. You just give them money and they do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I still can't think of it in my mind. The way you say juice, it sounds like you're saying Jews, for Christ's sake. Put a C on the end so I don't laugh.
Anyway, but the thing is, as long as you have an economic system based on protectionism, there will be winners and losers.
Oh yeah, yeah, there always be.
And there will always be winners and losers, even if you don't have protectionism. But if you don't have protectionism, the ones that win will actually contribute to the system. Where now we have huge companies forcing us to go certain directions. We as a people cannot change and disagree with that. But if we are in a freer market, let's call it that then, not free but freer.
I wish.
Yeah, indeed. Then people will have more ways to influence their own markets. And we don't have these influences anymore.
Okay, then how about we go back to the sugar example and do it the same way that OPEC or like manages the oil market.
Oof. Talk about protectionism. The
No,
OPEC.
hold on. Yeah, OPEC. The way OPEC does it, they don't really set the price. They set the production volume. They're like, yeah, you Germany, I mean, you're producing a lot of sugar. Just tone it down a little bit.
Yeah,
You
I'm
guys-
sorry. I'm going to interrupt you right here and there. How is price?
of the universe.
But what is price based on?
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand.
Supply and
Yes.
demand. What is it when I say, okay, let's limit the supply?
Well, here's the thing. Here's why OPEC works. It's because when they control the supply and demand, when all the OPEC countries gather together, they're like, this is our financial goal. We want to reach this many $1 trillion this year. They don't sacrifice the goal. They just make sure that everyone reaches it, or at least reaches as close to that goal as possible, while not fucking up the other smaller ones. That's what OPEC does.
Yeah, but it's still protectionism.
But are you at least okay with that? Because you have
No.
a system where all the companies would gather up. I don't know how that's going to happen with every single industry, but let's say that's just, that's just
Okay,
an example.
I'm going to answer. No, I'm not okay with it. But the reason why I'm not completely against it is because oil in itself is a pollutant. So should we have as much oil on the market as we want? No, because we would just burn it, and the problem would increase. But,
Yeah.
but at the same
Here's the
time-
thing. Here's the thing. So Audi can flood the entire market with oil. We can sell it for much cheaper than it is selling now, pretty easily for the next 200 years. You can have a barrel of oil for like $10. No problem at all. It's gonna fuck up all the smaller oil countries.
Yeah, but in the end,
We're
it's
not gonna
also
care.
going to it's also going to fuck up your own Saudi. Why? Because they will make less money.
No, they won't, because
Yeah, they
again,
will.
hold on. When you're producing that much volume, then the income is going to be the same.
No.
Instead of selling you 10 barrels for $50, and I get $500, I can sell you 100 for $5 and make all my 500. In the end of the
I
line,
understand what you're saying, but here is where you're wrong. Sugar is a product that you can keep producing. Oil is not. It's finite. It will run out.
yeah, and like I said, we can keep producing oil at full capacity for the next 200 years. We wouldn't give a fuck. And
Yeah, and we
trust me,
just have renewable energy.
most of the Saudis and the biggest oil companies over there, they don't really give a fuck about long-term prosperity. They just want to profit by the end of this quarter, so they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not really sure about that. Personally, I wouldn't mind. I mean, if the oil prices would drop, it would fuck up America because the petrodollar, but it would greatly enhance the position of just about every other country in the world. So personally, I wouldn't mind.
No, I mean, this is my, like I said, it's not about the oil, compare oil to sugar. I just chose sugar because it's something that popped in my head. But let's just imagine it's a product that you can, it's finite. Let's say it's a mine, and they can mine, I don't know, diamonds, gold, or whatever. And again, they can control the price in a way where every single one of those establishments and companies reach their financial goal while not fucking up the smaller ones. I think that business is at least fair because, again, you have a voice with every single company in there, and they're all reaching their financial goals. In the end of the day, everyone wins. Everyone is okay.
And here is where I disagree with you. Yes, Saudi sits on a lot of oil. So yes, they can flood the market. But flooding the market will always have a downside to it. Because yes, the smaller countries might not be able to produce at that price. So what will happen? They will stop producing. They will find something else to produce to make money. Whilst at the same time, still maybe, depending on, producing their own oil for their own consumption. They might, they don't have to, because they can also buy. For example, in the Netherlands, we have our own gas. So we are producing our own gas. We're not producing it, but we're getting our own gas. We're selling our gas to different countries. We're buying our gas from Russia because it's cheaper.
Yeah, and Saudi is in a position. I mean, when I was talking to a friend of mine. He works in Aramco, one of the biggest. Well, it is the biggest oil company in the world and the biggest in Saudi. And he does a lot of financial kind of stuff. Always in meetings, always traveling all over. And he's like, "Yeah, we're in a position right now to sell every single gas station in the U.S. their oil, and they would still it would still be much cheaper for them to buy than buying it from an oil rig next door."
Yeah, okay.
We're in a position to do that. We can't
What's
do
the problem?
that. But again, OPEC is like, no, you can't do that. You have a limit on how much you can produce.
Yeah, but why do they do that? It's protectionism. Because they want to protect their own part or the part of the smaller producers. It's still protectionism.
Yes, and it is still protectionism, but at the end of the day, as long as we are making our bottom line, and by the way, last year we made way more than our bottom line.
Yes.
What is the problem?
The problem is that in the end, because of the OPEC regulations, we see, for example, Canada and America thinking about getting oil out of the tar sands because that might actually be cheaper. So there's always a problem with protectionism.
I mean, yeah, you can't really have a perfect system. Like I said before, I mean, none of us here is discussing a system that is perfect.
But there is no perfect system because you're always working with people. And this is Animal Farm in the big. all animals are created equal, just some are more equal than others. And
Oh, yes.
protectionism is all about those some.
How do you feel about if something was banned for a good reason, either drugs or something else? I was thinking about.
Sorry?
I was thinking, what do you think about like instead of like regulating something when it comes to protectivism, why not just ban the whole thing? What do you think about
Because
that?
banning makes it illegal. Illegal creates a second economy, which basically fucks up your main economy. It fucks up your society. It's not a good thing.
You don't want an underground market.
The
for
best
anything.
thing that in the Netherlands, we didn't make cannabis legal. Everyone thinks that weed is legal in the Netherlands. It's not, but it's allowed. It's tolerated. But
medicinalized?
Fuck that medicinalized bullshit. No. that's just rubbish.
Use.
No, in the Netherlands, smoking weed is still illegal, but the police doesn't really care that you smoke weed, so they're not really stopping you, unless you're being a dick. If you're being a dick, they will arrest you for your weed, because they can arrest you for being a dick, but carrying weed brings a bigger sentence.
I miss living in Vancouver. That was the thing in Vancouver too. I fucking miss it.
No, but it makes sense. If you smoke weed, but you're not a problem, then why do I care that you smoke weed?
Because corporations.
I don't care about corporations.
That's what they say.
It's like alcohol. You can get drunk and get arrested.
Yeah, you can get drunk and get arrested, or you can get drunk and act normally, and there's no problem.
Exactly.
Imagine how hard is that to control everything and try to make sure everyone isn't fighting each other yet still drunk.
So why do you need to control everything?
Safety.
Safety for whom?
You're right. That's like safety for everybody. Because
okay. So let's say safety for everyone. Okay. How are we going to make our society safe if everyone is allowed to smoke weed? What are the problems? You're allowed to smoke.
I can't think of any.
No, seriously though, you're allowed to smoke weed. What is the problem? It's legal. You can buy it over the counter. You pay taxes over it. What's the problem?
I mean, here I am on the balcony drinking some scotch, smoking a cigarette. I'm pretty much doing a lot of things harmful to my body, but no one cares.
So what's the problem?
Yeah.
The only people would imagine is just for other people, like, oh, it's bad for you. You shouldn't smoke that or anything like that. That's what I imagine.
No, listen. If I think it's bad for you, then I will tell you, listen, mate, I think it's bad for you. You shouldn't smoke it. Period. Okay, I said my piece. Now what you do is up to you. Listen,
I would say to you, I don't give a shit.
I work in healthcare. Alcohol is bad for your body. But you know what's even worse? And you can buy it in the supermarket. Energy drinks. Energy drinks are fucking terrible for your body.
Dude, I want a Red Bull now.
Sorry?
I want a Red Bull.
He said he wants a Red Bull. A Red Bull.
Bro, Red Bull. You know what Red Bull is made of. No. I should rephrase that. Do you know when they started making Red Bull?
I don't give a fuck.
No, seriously. It was a drink they gave to the kamikaze pilots of the Japanese Second World War pilots.
Oh,
because they recognized it was bad for their health, but who cared? They would die at the end of the flight anyway. Yeah.
Wait, can I add this? I was thinking, instead of like products that can be harmful for individuals, what about things that are harmful for everybody else, regardless? Let's say cars. Cars is usually known to, like, say, pollute the environment. Say, like, this is a big problem with climate.
I'm going to stop you right here. Yeah, because this is something you really need to recognize. We can complain about the pollution of cars and of factories all we want, but we should never, ever, ever forget what that pollution has brought us. You're sitting at your desk behind a computer that would not have existed if it weren't for pollutants.
No, here's the thing. I am for subsidizing, more environmentally friendly industries.
Yes, me too.
Just to give them an incentive to go that way.
Yes.
Let's say giving some automobile companies, it kind of worked with GM. Like they got incentivized to work into like more green cars, and now they're producing them. So yeah, I'm for that.
Go ahead.
Even in a country like here, like oil is dirt cheap over here, but yeah, we're starting to see our entire, let's say, metro system is all electric. We're starting to see electric shuttles, driverless shuttles around town, and those sockets to charge, their electric cars are popping up all over town for free. You can just charge your car. That's the kind of thing that the government can do. But you can't just walk into, let's say, a car dealership and go, let's ban all these cars. That's not an approach that we want to get. You don't ban cars. You incentivize people to move on to more environment-friendly stuff.
Like, for Christ's sakes, like here, like as a car guy, like there's this one car that everyone is in the car community likes. It's called the R34 GTR. And it's been known and legendary for the movies of Fast and Furious and other stuff. Everybody wants it, but the problem is we can't get it because of smog regulations and safety standards. And the only way you can get around,
I fucking love that car.
I want one as well. And the only way to get around it is to make it as a kit car, or have to wait for the 25-year rule, which the R32 Skyline is out now. Just a little rant.
Yeah, but again, this is protectionism.
Yes, I understand that. But some people say, like, fuck protectionism. I just want my goddamn car.
Yeah, I know.
So, but then do you agree with me that protectionism isn't a good thing?
It's not always. It can work, but sometimes it couldn't work.
Yeah, but
unless
everything can work if you only have a small margin. Everything can be a good idea if I don't share it with too many people.
Actually, when you think about it, like the car I'm talking about is actually, like, the car community is big, but it's not like super big. It's only somewhat to a small crowd. Yes, so versus, say, when people said, like, oh, the new Nissan Leaf or Prius is out, people would be for that. Actually, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
No, I mean, I get that, banning cars is a stupid idea. I'm not for banning anything. Yeah. However, our whole conversation is protectionism good or bad. I'm saying that it's a very broad idea, protectionism. It's almost like saying, is capitalism a good idea or not?
The capitalism, unfortunately, is a good idea.
Yeah, but again, you don't want to be an ANCAP.
Yeah.
But that's taking it too far. You do need certain regulations, but the regulations...
Again, the same thing with protectionism. You can't just go like, it's all bad, let's just get rid of every single thing that's protectionist.
There is nothing within protectionism that isn't bad. I'm sorry, I really can't think of anything.
Well, that's just your opinion, sir.
Well, maybe, then prove me wrong.
Anti-dumping.
I already presented more than one example, and you seem to have the mindset that you're more for a more open and free market no matter what. And I believe that there should be some protectionism. Yet I'm not for strict regulations. I'm for smart regulations, and I can't really come up with any solutions on the spot. All these cases have to be studied case by case scenario, and they have to be figured out. But I can't just go like, no, I have this one rule that's going to fit all. That's never going to be the case.
That is true. There is no one way of making it work, because there will always be people that have a better situation, and there will always be people that have a worse situation. Protectionism doesn't change that.
I only agree with protectionism because it can be used to stop dumping of a product. And absolutely flooding a market and ruining a market.
Yeah, but that's the example Focus gave with the fuel.
No, I'm speaking about Chinese products. Not about fuel. I'll give you another example. Chinese products.
Oh yeah.
Honey. At the moment now, as Europe is grappling with stopping China from dumping honey and ruining European production, because they can produce it. And we don't even know if it is real honey. They say it's honey, without any form of checking. We need some measures of protection of that product.
Well, I mean, you can put a small protection on the product itself. For example, to say to be called honey, you have to be blah 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 blah. This is what we do in the Netherlands as well. To be cheese in the Netherlands, you have to abide by certain rules. Otherwise, you're simply not cheese. For example, or butter. Butter is a great example. Why? For example, everyone in the world knows peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
We don't call it peanut butter in the Netherlands. It's not allowed to It's not allowed to be called butter.
Oh.
So your level of protectionism is just playing with semantics?
To make differences clear, yes.
Not.
Well, that's just linguistic, but that's not semantics. Yeah, it's just semantics, linguistics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a linguistic semantics. I agree, but it's to make clear.
That's not going far enough, to be honest.
Why do you think it's not going far enough then?
Because when you have, like the example being presented here, flooding the market with honey that is going to be cheaper and of a lesser quality, then yeah, you have to just put a limit. Like, yeah, maybe you can have a tariff, like a higher tariff on the honey being imported into the countries. That's one example.
Or a certain amount.
Or certain amounts.
Exactly.
Limiting the amounts could be another example. That's the level of protectionism that I would go for. However, just changing the name is not good enough.
I'm not really sure if you. The thing is this: if the Chinese honey can be brought to this market cheaper, but one of the reasons it's cheaper is because it's not really honey, then you can give people the choice.
Yeah, I mean, people always have a choice. However, I don't want them to be flooding the market. I mean, we did okay. When it comes to just playing with semantics, for example, in the Middle East, KFC cannot be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. They can never type that in any of their ads, in any of their material, any of their anything, because a lot of it is not really chicken. But did that limit KFC from flooding the market with fried products? Nope.
Can I add something from the chat? Do you agree with this? Protectionism is good for certain nations and bad for others. It's simple as it is. For an example, small industry nations like Denmark or Lithuania, whereas large economic countries like the UK or Netherlands have easy. And it's from MILFSci999.
Melphis.
Yeah, Melphis.
I mean, here's the thing about protectionism. Like I said, it's a concept. It's a very wide concept. Now, can it be applied to every single situation? No, it cannot.
No.
It's just like I said, it's just like capitalism. You can't just go like, I'm going to be an ANCAP now because I believe in capitalism. No, that's not the way it works.
I'm sorry. I do see a difference between being an ANCAP and being a capitalist, to be honest. And that difference is quite big.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely, yes.
But again, you can't just go like, let's privatize all businesses as well and just be like, the capitalism.
No.
Because
there's more to capitalism than just privatized business.
Yes, there's more.
Socialism and capitalism aren't that far apart.
They are.
No, they're not. Because
there's some differences
there are differences, yes, but the position of the weakest, which socialism claims to be protecting so much, is also partly protected in capitalism. Less, but it's still somewhat protected because capitalism needs a market.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people now see as capitalism isn't capitalism. What we are seeing as capitalism now is actually a plutocracy. It's governments helping big companies make more money by keeping the system negative for the weaker ones. For example, if we look at the Walmart situation in America, Walmart is the biggest contributor to the welfare state, not the contributor, the detractor of the welfare state, sorry. Because they hire people, but they pay them so little that the people that actually work for Walmart still need government to help them to make ends meet. That's not capitalism. But the only reason they can do that is because the government helps them. So the government is helping a company paying their workers too little. That's called a plutocracy.
So what we take away from this is hashtag not all capitalists.
Capitalism was basically what happened during the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
You had companies, private companies, build railways, build ships, and actually without government, absolute no government assistance.
And but what
many
happened?
of them went broke.
But what happened if a capitalist country, capitalist company would hire people? Those people needed to be able to survive, and those companies needed to have a market so that they could sell their product again.
And again, that comes back to the UK's Industrial Revolution. They had a market.
Yeah.
They would buy cotton from India or linen or whatever, and in Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, just to name a few of those huge cities which relied on manufacturing of goods, which then would be exported to the empire.
Yeah. And people had to be able to afford this. So you can't underpay your workers. Capitalism in itself isn't the greatest system, but it's not the bad monster people claim it is nowadays. We haven't seen capitalism in the Western world for more than 100 years.
What you just said now, Modwayne, is epitomized by Henry Ford. He didn't invent the production line, he just bettered it. He improved on it.
Yeah.
And he paid his workers a wage which allowed them to actually buy the cars.
Yeah, which is capitalism.
And that is capitalism, exactly. It was just slightly ahead above his competitors, what he paid them, but he sold more cars. The Model T Ford was the greatest, the biggest selling car until the Beetle in 1974.
Yep.
Beat it. Now the Corolla beat it later on, but exactly, that's how capitalism, the real capitalism. No, it's a wrong word, not the real, because then you'd say you could go into the not true Scotsman argument. No,
yes.
I was just ready with that. Yes, Scotsman.
Exactly. Yeah, I caught myself. I'm drunk enough to be.
Yep, but
what are you drinking, mate?
Clear. Jim Beam bourbon.
Nice.
I'll show you guys.
I've been drinking Johnny Walker Black Label for.
Here we go, Jim Beam. It's my second bottle. Look at it. I'm down to that.
I bought 4 bottles of this stuff last week, and because it's in honor of my great hero, Christopher Hitchens.
Yes.
It's his favorite scotch, so yes, I'm enjoying a Black Label.
I didn't what's it called? What I'm doing now. I should
drinking.
Salute or cheer.
Yeah, that. To him with Black Label, I used the Glenlivet, 18 years old.
Nice.
Single malt scotch.
Nice. Versus me, I'm 18 years old, but I can't drink until I'm 21.
It could be if you were in Portugal, man. So
I could. If I want to drink, I just go to Europe and just drink over there.
Back to what I was saying. Capitalism, that robust capitalism that can has just enough regulation to protect the workers, give them enough of a spending power to buy products. The most I'm leaving myself up to the fucking no true Scotsman argument again. Jesus.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to call you out on
it. I'm stopping myself. I don't do those fellas. I don't do those fellas. Let me rephrase that. Capitalism works when the product can be afforded by the masses.
Yeah.
I think there's no true Scotsman fallacy.
It only works. Capitalism only works if the lowest ranks in a society can participate.
Yeah.
I don't say only. I'd say best works.
No, I would say only. Because
I would say best
because
works,
if
not only, because only to me it's a bit too
No, I'll explain to you. I'll explain to you why. Because if the lowest ranks of it do not benefit from it, cannot participate in it, they will start their own system.
Yes, but that's not too much of an idealistic system. It's impossible to achieve that every
It's a little bit
low
it's a little bit too idealist when you think about like every single member of society to participate in it.
Well, okay, maybe, but the thing is, if you don't try to include everyone, let's just call it try then. Let's not say everyone will, but let's try to include everyone. You will start, and this is what we've seen in the Western world. You will start a system where, hiccups, where the government is starting to protect the corporations in whatever way. For example, in America, you're not even allowed to capture your rainwater.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. Yeah.
America's fucked up, man.
Yeah, but why is that? Because you need to buy your water from them. Say what?
I don't give America as an example, basically to anything. It is like you said, it is almost plutocratic, not autocratic.
It's a plutocratic. Well, people call it corporatism, but corporatism is another word for plutocracy.
I don't like Carlos said. I mean, I don't really use America as an example for anything, especially when you have a cabinet right now that's going to be in the White House pretty soon that is pushing for the idea that climate change is a Chinese hoax.
Yeah. Listen.
Just to address climate change, I know from the science it is man-made.
Yep.
This one is man-made because we have cut down too much trees, we have introduced too much carbon, we have started the cycle. It's there, the science is there. Now,
we need to start planting a lot more trees, and that might actually get the carbon out.
Oh, God, I wanted to accelerate.
Yeah, but then people die.
Because that's the only way you don't see change by handing out flowers and that. You see change by drastic measures.
Yeah, but hey, listen, I already live under the sea level.
Come to Portugal, man. You can. I'll rent you a house and stuff like that. Jesus.
Well, we have a lot of skyscrapers here. I'm safe.
Habib, I'm sorry to say, mate, have you seen what water does to a building? You're not safe in a skyscraper.
No. Just watch 2012. Watch that movie, and you'll see what happens with water.
Yeah, that's a little bit over the top, but yeah.
Well, I mean, even if it happens, I mean, it's not gonna happen in the next 100 years, so I'm safe.
Well, unless if you live in certain countries like Japan.
I'll always be safe. I live a kilometer above sea level. There's no, even if all the ice melts on Earth, it will never reach my place.
Well, the only thing.
Will be 150 meters.
Here's the thing about me. I'm just gonna say one of it. I live in California in the San Francisco area. I'm not sure when I'm gonna get killed first. A big tsunami or big floods of water. I tell people that I voted for Trump and get beaten up.
Well, there's an earthquake. That's an earthquake. Come on.
Earthquake, man.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad, honestly. I did experience a pretty big earthquake, but it was nothing that bad, honestly.
Hey, guys, I'm sorry. I am going to call it quits though, because I am really tired. I've slept and I just woke up, but I'm still tired. I'm not feeling too well. I love this conversation. I really do. Habib, don't get me wrong, because I do agree with you on certain issues. But yeah, protectionism to me is a big problem. I can understand why you think it shouldn't be that big of a problem that I think it is, but we can disagree on that. I don't mind. At the same time, I also agree with people that say, well, being an ANCAP isn't helpful either, because it isn't. I agree. So you need to find, how do you call it? A middle ground. Thank you.
Or solution.
Don't go yet, Madwan. I'm going to end the stream now. I've been on for 3 hours.
Okay, I'll try.
An awesome stream. I think, God, thank you all the people that came in, even Omegon that just came in and didn't say nothing, but just his presence was moisture, pure moisture, and that. I love that guy. I love him. I honestly do. And so I will end it now. It's been 3 hours. Thank you, people in the chat. You guys, say a quick goodbye and I don't need to.
All right, my goodbye is like this. I mean, just to continue our tradition of the war against Christmas, I'm gonna say happy fucking holidays. Even though I'm
Yeah.
sitting in the balcony here next to a Christmas tree, but well, whatever.
Well, Yule is over already, so why bother with Christmas or Yule? Because it's over. It's behind us.
Well, here's this for me as being a Catholic. Happy birthday, Jesus.